Hello everyone, this is your friend from Naruto Audio Fanfics, and we are back once again with a brand new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto unlocked the power of time and Saiyans, and Hinata, Kale, Android 18 and May became his queens part 1. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit the like button, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Naruto fanfics like this. So without wasting any more time, let's start today's fanfic. Sitting on top of a half-destroyed building, looking ready to collapse if too much pressure was applied, was a young man. Cold icy blue eyes looked out upon a city, once beaming with life, now laid nothing by rubble, black smoke rising and covering the blue sky. He sat there, uncaring if the cold rain wetted his hair and clothes. He just sat there. His spiky black hair fell in the rain, two bangs falling over his eyes. His face was strong, sharp chiseled, his looks one that any woman, not that there were many left alive anymore, would find handsome. Even that dreaded Android 18 that Naruto detested to his very soul. He stood fairly tall at 6 feet and was wearing a orange and black t-shirt with no sleeves, and black baggy pants with the end being tucked into black combat boots. But the most notable aspects would be the long brown monkey tail wrapped around his waist, and the 6 scars lining his face, 3 on each cheek, resembling whiskers. The scars were given to him by the very same android that killed many of his friends and family. Unconsciously, he reached up and traced a line, gritting his teeth in anger as he recalled the bloodied fingers that cut his skin, the blood belonging to his father. The smile that woman had as she did so made his blood boil in rage. Taking a calming breath, he brushed away the terrible thoughts, and instead focused on the smiling faces about all those he cared about, and how they were taken away from him. This man was Naruto Briefs, the Saiyan, half Saiyan, son Bulma Briefs, and the deceased prince of all Saiyans, Vegeta. Not that there were many lefts. In one hand he could count the last surviving 3. Him, his younger brother Trunks, and his best friend Gohan. Thinking on the last one, Naruto closed his eyes, hiding his grief, as he thought back on his last battle. Recalling facing the androids again to try and destroy them once and for all, and recalling on how he lost his friend and surrogate brother. Flashback. Traveling through a lone empty countryside was Lone Van, moving at fast speed as it tried to get to its destination as fast, and as carefully as it could. Inside were 3 passengers, the remaining members of the Brief family. Naruto was riding in the back seat with his brother riding shotgun. Trunks was an energetic 13-year-old but was a very bright young man. Trunks had pale light violet hair, blue eyes like Naruto, wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants listening to the radio. Bulma Briefs was a beautiful woman even for her age. Her long blue hair in a ponytail, wearing a pink jacket and pants as she tried to rush the boys home. She was taking a risk, going to another town for parts she needed, as they could be spotted by the androids at any point. However, it was the only way. She couldn't ask her son Naruto to fly there to get them as wouldn't know what to look for, and 2. Using his key would alert the androids she wouldn't risk losing her baby to those monster. Naruto was enjoying the view, taking a moment to appreciate the rare relaxation he had before he had to return to living a cautious life he was raised into since the androids appeared. It was funny, they were traveling a road with green plains. It was a nice change from the daily view of ruined buildings of his home city. Unfortunately, the peace came to an end, as his ears picked up the shout from the radio that the androids were attacking a nearby city. Trunks seemed to be paying attention as well, as he looked at the radio with an angry look on his face. Naruto closed his eyes as he tried to bear with it. As much he wanted to do something to save those people he couldn't, as he knew he was no match for the machines. Unfortunately Trunks didn't have the same mind as he suddenly jumped out of the van, and blasted out of the car towards the city, ignoring the calls of his mother for him to come back. Trunks. Bulma yelled out for her son as she stopped the car, but he just ignored her. Cursing his young brother's rash action, Naruto got out and was about to take off until Bulma grabbed him by his arm. Naruto. Please look after him. You two are all I have left. Naruto gave a nod to his mother as he blasted off, to catch after him. With the androids. People were running, screaming in fear as the twin androids, 17 and 18, slowly killed them off. 17 was in a car, running people down while his sister watched from the sidelines, having grown bored of killing and decided to leave the fun to her brother. 17 was laughing as he did it. Come back here, you speedy little devils. 17 laughed out as he tried to run down more people with sick glee. 18 sighed in boredom, holding her head with her hands. She half wondered when she was going to see that guy Naruto again. He was perhaps the only interesting human in this planet. How juvenile. Honestly, 17, you're like a child, all you want to do is play. She stated to her brother. 17 jumped out of the car, letting it crash into a gas station, causing a large explosion and making it all light up in flames. Well, aren't you fun today? 17 said sarcastically as he walked towards his sister. Oh, shut up and let's go. 18 said as they floated up and left the destroyed city, in search of either another one with more fun, or something to interest them. Minutes later with Naruto and Trunks. When they reached the destroyed city, they knew they were too late. They could only look in sadness at the ruined city, seeing the large amounts of bodies on the streets. Men, women, and children. All gone. Damn it. Naruto said quietly, gripping his fists in anger as he mourned for the dead. He should have been here sooner. He could have saved them, or even won. Naruto, look at this place. Trunks muttered in horror as he looked around. So much death, all done in just minutes by two people. No, not people, monsters. I know, Trunks. Naruto said as he looked down. At his feet, laid a stuffed bear. No doubt once belonged to a child. Taking a deep breath, he put his hand on his brother's shoulder to try and calm down the rising burning anger in him. Let's see if we can find any survivors. It was a false hope, but he prayed someone managed to survive this massacre. Trunks nodded and the two brothers began their search. They both looked under the rubble and wrecked buildings, hoping someone, anyone, survived the attack. Naruto felt his brother's power slowly rising with each passing second of no results. Naruto turned and saw him holding a child's toy, looking at it with eyes full of sadness and anger. Naruto clenched his fists as his hate for the androids increased every second he stood in the city. Suddenly, he sensed a power level appear behind him. Turning around, he saw his best friend Gohan. Long gone was a young boy, a fresh trainee into his Saiyan heritage. He was now a tall, war-bound man, with short dark hair, chiseled chin, and hard eyes that had seen more deaths and battles than anyone in the current world. The boys went over to Gohan as he gave a sad smile. Come on, let's get you guys out of here, he said. The two brothers nodded, and sending one last glance at the city, the three half-Saiyans rose up into the air, before flying off back to their home. The three had gotten back to the brief house, where it remained functioning in the ruined city, keeping power running for Bulma's equipment. Gohan was by the windows watching the sunset. Naruto was sitting at the table, trying not to think about today and let his anger rise. And Trunks was sitting on the couch, with tears in his eyes, the events of today being too much for him. Is this the way life is supposed to be? So full of pain, he said, getting the other two's attention. I rather fight and die than watch this go on any longer. Gohan watched him from the reflection of the window as Trunks stood up. I can't let this go on anymore. Please, can you and Naruto train me? Please, you have to. I must fight so I can help protect everyone like you too. Naruto watched from the table, a thoughtful look on his face. Come on, Gohan. I'm half Saiyan just like you and Naruto. You guys know how I feel about all this. Please give me something to channel all my anger at. There was a moment of silence until Gohan spoke up. You're pitiful, Trunks. An emotional wreck just like I was when Mom wouldn't let me train and fight with my father. Trunks looked at Gohan in confusion while Naruto just smirked, knowing where this was going as he walked over, standing beside Gohan as the two expert Saiyans stood in front of Trunks. From now on, Naruto and I are your masters and we will train you from now on, the young son stated, looking at Trunks with a hard look. A look given to him once upon a time by a certain Namekian. Trunks got a happy smile as he gave an excited nod. Thank you. I won't let you guys down. We know you won't, bro, Naruto said as he ruffled his brother's hair. Naruto, Trunks, I'm home, Bulma called out. Suddenly, Trunks began to panic. If his mother found out he planned to train to combat the androids, she would be against it. You guys please don't tell her, Trunks begged. What? You think I would? I don't even tell her I train Trunks, Naruto said with a laugh, just as Bulma came in. It's good to see you boys are okay. Bulma said thankfully at seeing her sons, before she took notice of Trunks. Gohan, it's good to see you. Gohan gave a small wave toward the blue-haired woman. Hi Bulma. Quit a condense that you boys go to fight the androids and you come back with Gohan, you aren't planning anything are you? She asked, giving them a hard look. Gohan and Trunks didn't speak. Naruto just whistled awkwardly, I didn't think so. Alright boys, let's have some dinner. All the Saiyans at the dinner table were attacking their food with gusto. Bulma could only shake her head. You boys are so much like your fathers. Gohan stopped his eating to look at Bulma with a sad smile at the memory of his father. You think so? Of course. The way you eat, the way you're so powerful and gentle at the same time. The way you look, especially with that outfit. Gohan patted his GI fondly as he thought about his dad. I've always wanted to be strong like him, I feel honored to wear his old colors. I've heard you have been fighting the androids by yourself, is that true? Bulma asked with a concerned look. Yeah, be careful and watch out for my boys if you ever see them. I will Bulma. The next day, Gohan and Naruto were watching Trunks power up, impressing them both with the power level for one his age. When he was done powering up, the three got ready to start their training. Gohan and Naruto both rushed Trunks, throwing a barrage of punches, which he mainly dodged or blocked. It wasn't until Naruto sent a kick at his head yelling, "Dodge!" that sent him flying into a whirlpool in the ocean. Ah! Naruto, Gohan help me. Fly up. Naruto yelled out. The whirlpool's too strong, I can't swim. I said fly up. Maybe I could build a raft. Aarrrgghhh, Naruto yelled out in annoyance. A few minutes later, Trunks was wiping his face with a towel, back on land. So much for the royal treatment. Trunks muttered under his breath. We never said it was going to be easy, Naruto said with a smirk as he leaned on some rocks. Yeah, hey Gohan, you knew our dad pretty well right? What was he like? Naruto turned his attention to Gohan wanting to know as well. Gohan had a thoughtful look on his face. He was tough, extremely powerful, kind of arrogant and very proud, if a bit dense. A bit like Naruto here. Gohan and Trunks shared a laugh while Naruto just gained a tick mark at the teasing. Later that day, it was nighttime and the two masters were watching Trunks as he tried to power up and become a Super Saiyan, Gohan doing his best to help. Remember all the children who died to those monsters. Remember how you felt that day. The more Trunks thoughts about all the people the androids killed, friends, family, the angrier he got. A golden aura started to surround Trunks as he tried to bring out more of the Super Saiyan power, until he collapsed from exhaustion, the golden aura vanishing. Naruto and Gohan were thinking along the same lines. He almost had it. A little more and he could be a Super Saiyan. Hey Trunks, that's enough today. Let's go home, Naruto called out as he walked towards his brother. Sounds good, Trunks said with a smile as he flew with his mentors. The next day with the androids. At an amusement park, the twin androids were having fun as they rode a few rides and killed a few people there, enjoying themselves in their chaotic amusement. The three half-breed Saiyans flew as fast as they could towards the amusement park, to try and put a stop to the androids. When they found the androids, Gohan and Naruto got into a fighting stance. Look 17, it's our favorite little toys, 18 said, not taking her eyes off of Naruto. You think they're hard for another beating? Trunks, let Naruto and I handle this, Gohan said, making Trunks look at him in surprise. Naruto chose to add to it before Trunks could say anything. Unless they team up on one of us, in which case, jump in. To that, Trunks nodded. Naruto then teleported in front of 17, giving him a strong punch that sent him through a couple of buildings. Naruto gave a yell as he transformed into his Super Saiyan form, giving chase after the android. 18 went for Gohan, who also transformed into a Super Saiyan. Every attack they threw ended in a stalemate, the android's cybernetic computers easily keeping up with the Saiyan's skills. 18 threw a kick, making Gohan slam into a support beam for a ride. She then kicked him around some more until she palm thrust him into a game stand that exploded on impact. As Gohan was getting up, Naruto was sent flying into him, sending them sprawling across the ground. Naruto, getting up, instantly shot a ki blast at Android 17, surprising him. Crossing his arms, 17 took the blast, causing an explosion. However, When the blast cleared, the android was fine, only his clothes having rips on them. Damn, he's dangerous today, he noted, with 18 nodding in agreement. Let's finish this quick, I want to go shopping. The two got in sync as Naruto charged at the two. 18 smacked Naruto's legs from under him, while 17 kneed him in the stomach, then double axe kick slamming him into the ground face first. Gohan saw what was happening to his best friend, tried to help but was sent flying away by a double ki blast. Seeing his brother in danger, Trunks charged in wanting to help. 18 seeing this, jumped away from Naruto. She had an amused smirk as Trunks chased her. When Trunks caught up to her, he threw a barrage of punches at her. 18 blocked all of them, while throwing a few of her own here and there. Trunks let his anger guide him as his punches grew faster, before he got a lucky hit in. However, that angered 18 greatly as she grabbed him by his throat, a ball of ki in hand ready to end Trunks. Naruto getting up and seeing his brother about to be killed blasted up, giving a strong elbow to 18's face. Naruto caught his brother, jumping away to get some distance. Gohan seeing Trunks was hurt sent a kick at 17, then tried to leave with Naruto. The twins seeing that they are trying to escape fired a barrage of ki blast that completely destroyed the amusement park. The three half Saiyans were hiding behind a broken wall as the androids continued to blast everything. Looks like they got away, 18 said, stopping as she looked around. Yeah, seems that way. 17 blasted a few more times, let's take a few pot shots. We might get lucky. Raising both their hands in the air, there was a giant blinding light and then it showed nothing but ruins. Thinking this was enough, the two androids flew away. Naruto, who blocked most of the blast for Trunks, rolled onto his back as he slowly started to pass out from the pain. Gohan was missing an arm as he crawled to give Naruto a senzu bean. Come on Naruto, don't leave me now. You and Trunks are all I got. Gohan grunted as he forced Naruto to eat the bean. He passed out a second later. Naruto's wounds healed up instantly, waking him up. Jumping to his feet, he checked Trunks to see if he was okay. Satisfied when all he found was some cuts and bruises, turning his attention to Gohan, he was horrified when he saw Gohan was missing his arm. Naruto threw Gohan over his shoulder, holding Trunks under his arm. Hold on guys. I'll get you guys back home in no time. Bulma was typing on her computer when she heard a noise. Turning around quickly, Bulma's eyes widened when she saw her son and his state as well as the states of the other two, more so Gohan. Naruto, dear Kami, what happened? Bulma yelled as he slowly laid them on the ground. To be blunt, Naruto said as he slid down wall, we got our ass kicked. As Bulma was checking over everyone, she saw how Gohan was missing an arm. Oh Kami, his arm. Naruto, please help me get him to a bed. Naruto grunted as he lifted Gohan up once more. After laying him down and asking Naruto to hold him down, okay Gohan, this is going to hurt but bear with me. Bulma said as she put alcohol on his wound. Gohan snapped open as he gave a horrible scream of pain, thrashing around. When he settled, he passed out again. Naruto, what happened? Bulma demanded as Naruto was watching them sleep. The androids. Bulma frowned when she heard that. She sat in front of Naruto, cupping his face and forced him to look at her. Naruto, I need you tell me everything. Naruto closed his eyes before he began to tell Bulma everything. Bulma was thinking over everything in her head. She wasn't happy that her sons were training to defeat the androids, as it was too dangerous. However, she knew it would be pointless to try and force them to both quit. You and Trunks are all I have left. I don't want to lose either of you. Bulma sobbed out as she held on to him. Naruto couldn't look him mother in the eye, even as she was hugging him. I promise you, Mum, I will look after Trunks. Nothing bad will happen to him. Bulma kissed him on the top of his head before walking out the room to go back to her computer. Naruto stood up, leaving the room to go train. Just before he left the room, he turned back to look at them both. I won't let this happen to you guys ever again, I promise. Naruto's eyes hardened as he fully left the room, a promise of a lifetime. The next day, Gohan and Naruto were watching Trunks as he tried to transform once more. Come on Trunks, I know you can do this. Get angry. Think about those damn androids and all they have done. Think how it would feel if they killed me, Mum and Gohan. A golden aura started to surround Trunks as he tried to tap into the power from deep within. Come on Trunks. You can do it. Let your rage out. Unfortunately, Trunks couldn't hold it for much longer as he collapsed on the ground huffing and panting. Naruto had a proud smile as he watched his brother get up, proud of how far he was coming along. Come on. I know great place where we could relax. Naruto was watching the clouds go by with relaxed smile on his face as Gohan and Trunks were chatting. Trunks then turned his attention to Naruto. Hey, Naruto, why can't I transform? What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It takes a great source of anger to trigger your Super Saiyan transformation. You can't just do it at will. He explained. Trunks seemed to understand a little bit. I still don't quite get it. Gohan decided to jump in see if he could help. You see, for me to transform, I think how the androids killed Piccolo and Krillin. Then I feel a horrible hurt, and the pain from that memory turns into rage. Then something snaps from deep within. I feel all my power flowing out. Trunks had an odd look in his eyes before turning to his brother. What about you, Naruto? How did you transform? I was training far from home. I collapsed from dehydration and exhaustion. I then had a dream. Well, more like a nightmare really. It's a bit hard to remember, but I saw you and Mum lying on the floor with blood all around. Those damn androids were sitting there, laughing, and I heard a voice whispering for me to kill them. The voice just got louder and louder until I couldn't take it anymore and I transformed. Trunks was about to say something but was cut off by an explosion from the nearby town. Jumping to their feet, both Gohan and Naruto transformed into Super Saiyan instantly. Trunks, I'm going to need you to stay here so you don't get hurt. Gohan told the young Saiyan. You have to let me help. Gohan. You only have one arm. What can you do with one arm? Gohan smiled as he looked at the city. You're right, what can I do with one arm? Thank you. Trunks said, thinking he was allowing him to come. However, before Trunks could react, Gohan struck him in the back of the neck, knocking him out instantly. I can do that with one arm. Now what can I do to the androids with one arm? Best not to think about that. Now let's go, Naruto said as he blasted off to the city, Gohan not that far behind him. 17 was standing on top of a destroyed building, destroying more buildings with ki blast. You know what? I'm bored. Well, we could find another city. 18 suggested. No, I mean, like, bored of this whole great destroyer shtick, you know. Destroying things, killing people, shooting another random blast at a building. It's just boring. Yeah, it's kind of lost its luster. After you wipe an entire genre of music off the face of the earth, what's left? You know what I always wanted to do? Like, since before all this. Be a park ranger. You wanna range a park. A man was getting out of some rubble just as 18 sent a blast at him, killing him. Hell yeah. Livin' outdoors, communicatin' with nature, shootin' poachers. Yeah, I think I'm a dude. 17 was cut as Naruto's boots met his face, sending him through a building. 18 started to laugh her off. Ha 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 ha. He slapped your shit. Okay. You know what? That's it. I'm killing every human. Every one. Then I'm gonna range the shit out of that park. Gohan landed next to Naruto with fierce glare aimed at the androids. Naruto was facing 18 with his back to Gohan, while Gohan was facing 17. You know you can't win. You can't destroy what my friend and I really are. 17 just smirked as he got closer along with his sister. Naruto started to add his own words. Even if you manage to kill us both, someone much stronger will take our place and end you both. Not one death will go unaccounted for. Not one. Naruto roared as he charged at 18, Gohan doing the same to 17. Naruto chased her into a half-destroyed building, going up the floors until they reached the last one. Giving her a double strike to the face, Naruto grabbed her by legs and started to swing her around, throwing her straight down to the ground that broke upon impact. A black ball of ki with a silver ring around it appeared in his hand as he charged up attack. Once the attack was at full power, Naruto hurled it at while yelling out, Rasen Ring. Naruto teleported out of the area as the whole building erupted in black ki, getting both 17 and Gohan's attention. Naruto huffed after putting more than 70% of his power in the attack. Naruto was feeling confident that he killed 18 until he felt her wrap her arms around his neck and push her chest into his back. That actually hurt, but it wasn't enough to kill me, and it never will be. Naruto was in too much shock to move, as he watched the still alive 18 walked out of the rubble. 18 then appeared behind Naruto and kneed him in the back, making give a gasp of pain. Then she grabbed him by the back of his head in a tight grip as she flew straight down to the ground, slamming Naruto head first, then threw him through a few buildings while shooting a ki blast at him. That will keep him down for a bit, 18 said as she flew towards her brother and Gohan. Throwing a punch at Gohan, which he blocked, however wasn't ready for the double axe slam from 17 that sent him through a few buildings. Gohan quickly got up and jumped back to gain distance, shooting a ki blast at the twins, who shot a combined ki blast of their own. There was a struggle for dominance until Gohan won, blasting them both away. Gohan went to charge but had to block a ki blast 17 sent at him that left him open, allowing 17 the chance to deck him across the face. Gohan backed off to get some cover, but 17 gave chase. Shooting a barrage of ki blast at 17 and dodging 18's sneak attack, Gohan elbowed her in the back. Grabbing her by her leg, he flew down and slammed her through the building. Naruto slowly got out of the rubble. Feeling Gohan power rise, he did his best to get there in time just as heavy rain came down from above. 17 with his sister by his side shared a look until they moved in sync with 17 at the front. Both of them charging at Gohan, who didn't have enough time to dodge as the two threw furious punches at him. He did his best to block, but it wasn't enough. Gohan flew away trying to gain some leverage, but they gave chase, shooting two ki blasts at the front of Gohan. Gohan tried to block the explosion, but the twins slammed into him, sending him into a building. As Gohan was falling to the ground, the twins pointed both their hands at him, firing a barrage of ki at Gohan, slowly killing him. Naruto was frozen in place as he watched his friend be killed. Tears streamed down his cheeks, mixing with the rain as he fell to his knees, his Super Saiyan transformation vanishing in his loss of concentration. When the androids stopped firing their attack, Gohan hit the floor lying in a puddle of water, which began to turn red with his blood spilling out. 18 noticed Naruto was there. She flew in front of him, getting his attention. When he saw her again, Naruto's rage kicked back in again as he jumped up and threw a punch at her face, turning Super Saiyan as he does it. 18 grabbed his fist while also sending a kick to his ribs, breaking them in the process. Taking a step back, Naruto held his ribs in pain as he fired a ki blast at her point blank. When the attack settled down, it showed 18 completely unharmed. Grabbing Naruto by the back of his head, she kneed him in the stomach a few times before sending a ki blast at him that sent him skidding across the ground. Naruto fell out of his Super Saiyan transformation as he tried to stay conscious. 18 straddled Naruto's chest, pressing his broken ribs, breaking them more in the process. Running her hands over his cheeks, 18 gave a hum as she got an idea. "You know, Naruto, I think I will give you something to remember me by." She dug 3 of her nails into his cheeks before slowly running them down and repeated the process with his other cheek. All Naruto could do was scream in pain until it was over. When she was done, she licked the blood from her nails, then placed a kiss on his lips. Moving over to his ear, 18 whispered in his ear 3 words that will forever haunt him: "I own you." Darkness took over Naruto as he blacked out. When Naruto woke up, he found himself bandaged up with his brother by his side sleeping. Naruto tried to sit up but winced each time he failed, waking Trunks up. Trunks rubbed his eyes until he saw his brother's smiling face. "Hey bro." Trunks got a happy smile as he brought his brother into a hug, making him grunt in pain but return the hug nonetheless. "I'm sorry Gohan, I couldn't save you, but I'll protect Trunks no matter what." End of flashback. But Naruto couldn't keep his promise. As the years went by, Naruto continued to fight the androids, getting a little better at a time until the day came where they followed him home. Naruto has countless regrets, but that will always be one of them. As the rain started to die down, Naruto flew to his home, ready to go back to the past and stop the androids from destroying his world. Naruto hopped in the time machine, giving one last look at his home, the graves of his family. "I will change the future. I promise, Mom." Trunks. The time machine was surrounded in a bright light until the light faded, showing no form of Naruto or the time machine. Naruto was fading in and out of conscious, traveling in the black hole that as time is taking its toll on him. Naruto started to see his mother and brother, hearing the voices of his brother and his mother screaming his name. "No, no, 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 no," Naruto yelled, holding his head in pain as he transformed into a Super Saiyan. The memories all came flooding back. Flashback. Naruto was limping towards his house after another vicious battle between the androids. Naruto saw Trunks sitting at the front door staring at the ground sword by his side that Naruto and Bulma made for him for his birthday. Naruto gave a smile when he saw his brother waiting for him. Trunks looked up and had a relived look on his face, then it turned to horror as he jumped up and brought his sword out of its sheath. Naruto turned around to see what his brother was looking at, froze in place when he saw it was 18 with a smirk on her face. Naruto was shaking with fear, wanting to get Bulma, Trunks and run, but his inner Saiyan was screaming at him, don't be a coward and fight like a true Saiyan, die like a true Saiyan. Trunks, get mum and leave. Trunks looked at his brother in shock. No, Naruto, I won't leave you, we'll fight her together. Naruto, turning Super Saiyan, gave his brother a harsh glare that froze him in place. Trunks, we don't have time for this. Leave. 18 had an amused look on her face as Trunks ran inside, turning her attention back to Naruto. She could see he was scared but still willing to fight. Don't worry Naruto, I'm not going to kill you. Before Naruto could react, 18 was cupping his face. I'm just going to hurt you, really, really bad. There was an explosion behind him. Naruto saw Trunks laying on the ground, sword in hand. Naruto was about to move to help. 18 was faster and had Naruto in a choker hold. The smoke in the house cleared and it showed 17 holding Bulma by the throat. Trunks' charged sword raised to slash 17 in half. 17 threw Bulma into a wall, catching the sword with the other hand. There was a struggle as Trunks put all his strength into his sword. 17 kicked Trunks in the side of the head, making Trunks' grip on his sword loosen, giving 17 the chance to take it. Bulma crawled from the wall trying to reach Trunks. Naruto was struggling to get free. 17 glanced down at Trunks. Glancing at 18, who gave a nod of approval, 17 stabbed the sword down, impaling him through the chest. Bulma screamed in horror. Trunks. Naruto fell slick in 18's arms. 18 let Naruto drop to the ground. I let my baby brother die. Naruto slowly looked up to see 17 pointing his hand at Bulma. The ground started to tremble, make the androids look around in confusion. Naruto slammed his fist into the ground. The sky started to darken. Lightning struck the ground. A golden aura surrounded Naruto. Naruto was shaking as his power and his aura got stronger, sitting on his knees with his hands by his side. Never. The androids were frozen in place as Naruto's jade green eyes were filled with nothing but pure rage locked on the two. Forgive. You. What was that? 17 asked. I will never forgive you androids. Naruto yelled, throwing his head back as his body started to change. Naruto's muscles increased in size as he got a few inches taller. Naruto's hair got bigger and spikier. Naruto appeared in front of 17, slamming his fist his stomach, making 17 slump over with wide eyes. Naruto backhanded 18 into a building, turning his attention back to 17. Naruto hoisted 17 up by his throat, proceeded to pummel 17. When Naruto was done, 17's face was broken and out of place, his arm bent at an awkward angle. Are you scared, android? Do you feel helpless? Broken? This is how we have felt for years. Enjoy your stay in hell. Naruto yelled as he threw 17 in the air, shooting a ki blast, completely destroying 17. Hearing whimpering, Naruto turned around to see 18 getting out of rubble. When Naruto turned his sights on her, his eyes hardened. Appearing in front of her, getting her attention, 18 tried to back away but fell every time. Getting some courage, she whispered, "Are you going to kill me?" Naruto picked her up by the scruff of her shirt. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you really, really bad. 18 was laying on the ground in a puddle of blood, watching as Naruto flew away. If Naruto didn't kill her, the injuries would. 18 closed her eyes as she reminisced over her life. Naruto looked around for his mother. Spotting her, Naruto ran to her side, holding her in his arms. Mum. Bulma slowly opened her eyes. Hey hun. Tears slid down the side of his face, landing on Bulma's own. I'm so sorry, Mum. Naruto choked out as he held Bulma closer. I don't blame you, cough, neither would Trunks. Tears of her own filled her eyes as she gazed into Naruto's jade green eyes. Naruto just held her tighter, rubbing his cheek against her head. Feeling something slide into his hand, looking up, he saw it was a capsule. Naruto, I'm not going to be able to finish the time machine. Naruto looked at his mother with confused eyes. You will have to do it for me and Trunks. Mum. I can't do this without you. You can, baby. I know you can. Bulma said as her eyes started to close with a smile on her face. Mum. Naruto asked as Bulma's eyes closed, her head fell to the side. Mum. Please don't go. I need you. Naruto whispered. Naruto fell out of his new transformation, giving a yell of agony as he held his mother harder. Flashback end. When Naruto opened his eyes, he found himself in a rocky mountain. Checking the numbers on the screen, Naruto smiled fondly. I made it, Mum. Trunks, jumping out of the time machine and sealing it back in its capsule. Naruto sensed two strong power levels. Tacking off, he saw one tall alien with horns and one short white with robotic parts attached to it. We've arrived, Frieza. The tall one said, looking around with a raised eyebrow. It was so much bluer up in space. This is only a small part of Earth. Father, Frieza turned to the soldiers that lined up in front of the ship. Men, your job is to execute anyone and everyone that tries to stop us. Kill everyone. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Lord Frieza. As they were going to take off, a blast of ki killed them and made the other soldiers turn around looking for their attacker until they heard the sound of boots meeting the ground. Frieza had a bored look in his eye as he looked Naruto in the eye. Who are you? Who I am is none of your concern. Frieza just laughed along with his father. As that's so. Well then, I'll just kill you like everyone else on this planet. Frieza turned to his men. Kill him. They were hesitant until one stepped in front of the group. Humph, let's see what your power level is. After tapping, his scouter numbers flashed until it landed on 1000 inches. 1000, nothing we can't handle if we gang up on him. Come on, boys. Naruto just gave a grunt of annoyance. Naruto appeared in front of soldier that checked his power level, giving a palm trike to the chest, sent him sailing into the spaceship. Naruto appeared behind two, slamming their heads together, shooting two ki blasts at the soldiers that tried charging him both sides. The last one was backing up until he bumped into Naruto's chest, giving a shocked yell as Naruto got him into a choker hold, then snapping his neck rather loudly. Naruto turned his attention back to Frieza. Frieza's father King Cold had an amused smile on his face. You must be the mighty Lord Frieza. It would seem my reputation precedes me, but how do you know me? You blew up my father's home planet, Naruto said as he tail unwrapped from his waist. Why, you're a Saiyan. Frieza growled out. Oh, but I'm not any ordinary Saiyan, I'm something you fear. I'm exactly like the man who made you, this freak of nature. Oh ho ho ho, you think you're a Super Saiyan, do you? Naruto put his arms by his side as Frieza and his father started to laugh. Naruto started to yell as a golden aura surrounded him. Chunks of earth ripped from the ground as Naruto's power shocked the very earth. What? Frieza's eyes went wide when his hair started to flash gold. Frieza started to hyperventilate as flashes of Goku went through his mind. Frieza closed his eyes only to see Goku from Namek. Pizza. A lightning slammed down next to him, showing his jade green eyes. Opening eyes, Frieza saw as Naruto's turned jade green. With a final yell, Naruto was fully transformed. Frieza started shacking as Naruto gave him a smirk. Frieza yelled as he slammed his fist into Naruto's face. Naruto didn't even budge, instead pointed two fingers at Frieza's chest. They collapsed into a fist, making Frieza cough blood as he was sent flying into his ship. Frieza held his arm up as a sun-like ki blast started to increase in size. When it was 3 times the size of his ship, he threw it at Naruto. Ddiiiiee. When attack landed with Naruto, there was a shock wave. Frieza started to laugh. Ha 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 ha, how do you like that, you filthy monkey? Frieza stopped laughing when he saw Naruto slowly pushing the ki blast back. You petulant, impudent, contemptuous war. You mad, bro? Frieza growled as he shot a small ki blast at the giant sun ki blast, making it exploded. HMPH, let's go, Frieza. King Cold said as he walked towards the ship until a ball of ki flew past his head, hitting the ship, making it explode. How? Naruto came out completely unscratched with a bored look on his face. Frieza growled as he shot ki ball at Naruto. Naruto walked forward as he slapped it away. Frieza growled as he shot a barrage of ki balls. Naruto slapped the ki balls away until he finally reached Frieza, throwing his leg out that sent Frieza into a mountain. Frieza was laying on the ground in pain. Looking up, he saw Naruto looking down at him with his palm facing him. Naruto glared as ki gathered up in his hands. Don't ever think about showing you face here again. Frieza screamed out in pain as he was obliterated by Naruto's ki blast. King Cold could on watch in shock as his son was killed before his very eyes. Naruto locked eyes with King Cold, then a smile broke out on his face when he saw Cold back up. Appearing behind him, Naruto blasted him in the heart, killing him. Turning his attention to the Z warriors, he powered down. Giving a warm smile, he floated down. Hey, I'm going to meet Goku if you guys want to follow. Naruto took off with them following close behind. Naruto took out a capsule. Pressing the button, it turned into a mini fridge. Pulling out a beer, Naruto leaned against a rock with a relaxed look on his face. 2 hours later, Naruto was talking to Gohan and Krillin, getting to know them, when Bulma came up and leaned on him. So hey, like, just going to throw this out there, you're really cute. Naruto had an embarrassed blush on his face as he scratched the back of his head. Well, Mum did say I was a cute kid. Bulma gave a flirty wink as she pushed her bust into his arm. Oh, mama's boy, huh? I'll be your mummy. Ah. Naruto screamed inside his head before anything else could be said. A space pod crashed near them. Goku jumped out and gave a happy smile until he locked eyes with Naruto. Naruto jumped down as he held his hand out for Goku to shake. Hello, son Goku. Hello, son Goku. Naruto offered his hand to his fellow Saiyan. Goku gave a smile as he shook Naruto's hand. After introducing himself, Naruto turned towards the Z fighters as he told them his tale. In 3 years, on May 12th, at 10 a.m. 9 miles from South City, some man-made atrocities will be on the hunt for Goku. Me. But why? These monsters were made by an old scientist from the Red Ribbon Army. He will send these monsters after you, but you come down with an illness that kills you. Goku gave a yell of shock. What? I die again? Naruto nodded in confirmation, then handed him the medicine for his virus. Unfortunately, yes. So do the rest of you. Naruto told them what life was like growing up with the androids, but kept out the part who his parents were. My mother and I built a time machine with the help of Bulma, but there was a accident. I continued building the time machine. Supplies was so low that it was only a one-way trip. Goku placed a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder while the others gave looks of sympathy. If you give us some time, I'm sure we can get you back to your timeline, Bulma said, trying to cheer him up. No, I have nothing left to go back to. Where will you stay, Mr. Naruto? Gohan asked. He can stay with us, Goku said with a happy grin. Naruto had a look of shock on his face, then a small smile broke out on his face. Thank you, Goku. The years went by quick. In those years, Naruto drew close to the Sun family and they made him one of their own. Naruto grew closer to Chi-Chi, Gohan and Goku. Chi-Chi was like a mother. She will never replace his real mother, and Naruto knew that, but having a proper mother to spend time with gave Naruto a new bond he will always cherish. Naruto was already close to Gohan in his own timeline, but the bond grew stronger to the point where he felt like his actual brother, just like Trunks. With Goku, it gave him the father he always wanted. That doesn't mean he didn't try bonding with Vegeta, but Goku gave him love just like he would to Gohan. Naruto was currently sitting on top of the Sun House as he waited for Goku and Gohan to get ready. Naruto started to remember his last fight, and that was with Goku in the mountains a few days ago. Flashback. Naruto was in his Super Saiyan form, wearing a tight long-sleeved shirt with baggy pants tucked into black combat boots. Staring down Goku, who was also in his Super Saiyan form. Naruto has completely mastered his Super Saiyan form to the point he can stay in it for a week and not get tired. Goku was nearly there, but he was able to match Naruto in raw power. Let's do this. Naruto appeared in front of Goku, throwing a kick at his head. Naruto's kick went right through Goku, showing he was an after image. Goku appeared under Naruto, kneeing him in the chin. Naruto jumped, getting distance while rubbing the blood leaking down the corner of his mouth. Naruto yelled as he sent a barrage of ki balls. Goku used his forearms to cover his face. Dust kicked up, blinding him. Goku appeared in front of him, throwing his fist forward. Naruto reacted quickly. Jumping back, a huge ball of ki the size of his torso appeared in his hand, firing it. Goku crossed his arms again, trying to lessen the damage, but the blast was too strong, carrying him until he slammed into a mountain, exploding on impact. You ready to get serious now? Goku gave a nod as he blasted out of the mountain. Charging Goku threw every combo he could think of at Naruto. Naruto dodged or blocked most of his attacks. Naruto yelled, kicking him away. Naruto pointed his hand at Goku and fired a barrage of ki blast at the running Saiyan. But luck was on Naruto's side as he nailed Goku with his attacks. Goku yelled, throwing ki blasts of his own, canceling the rest out, giving him a breather. Naruto closed his eyes trying to sense Goku's ki. Naruto felt his eyes widen in pain as Goku's foot slammed into Naruto's chest. Floating back, Naruto rubbed his chest in pain but had a wide grin on his face. Naruto roared as he blasted at Goku, throwing a barrage of punches, striking him all over his body. Sending a harsh kick that sent him flying, Naruto gave chase, appearing above Goku. Naruto sledgehammered Goku into the ground. Naruto yelled as he turned his body and cupping his hands, Gaelic gun fire. A purple beam was sent down to Goku's still form. Huffing, Naruto waited for the dust to settle. Goku, with his clothes destroyed, appeared behind Naruto. A surprise kick to the back sent Naruto flying through a few mountains. Naruto came out of the collapsed mountain to see Goku charging up his famous attack. Not to be outdone, Naruto charged up a Rasen ring. Naruto yelled as he threw his attack, clashing with Goku Kamehameha. The power of the two Super Saiyans was destroying the landscape. The yell of them both could be heard for miles. Hey, big bro. Flashback end. Naruto was cut out of his thought by Gohan calling out to him, "It's time to go." Naruto nodded, jumping down. Chi-Chi started to fuss over them. Goku scratched the back of his head with a laugh. Gohan had a blush and Naruto had a twitching eye, but he knew her heart was in the right place. Chi-Chi, don't worry. I swear on my life nothing will happen to them. Chi-Chi sniffled as she pulled them into a group hug. Just please be safe. With that, they took off to South City, meeting Piccolo and Krillin halfway there. They saw Bulma along with Yamcha, who looked absolutely livid. Hey, Bulma, Yamcha, is that your baby? Goku asked as he was playing with the lavender-haired baby. You couldn't guess who the father is? Yamcha said, leaning against the wall. Vegeta. Everyone said at once. Yamcha gained a depressed look. Anyway, what's his name? Gohan asked. Trunks. Bulma said happily as she kissed his forehead. Hey, that's a girl's name. Goku giggled. Naruto was looking at baby Trunks with watery eyes. Without thinking, Naruto made his way over to Bulma. See, can I hold him? Bulma gave a nod, handing Naruto Trunks. Naruto felt nervous. Trunks felt so small, so fragile in his hands. Hey, buddy, Naruto whispered as he held Trunks close to his chest. Gah! Trunks yelled happily as looked up at Naruto with gurgles and giggles. Naruto laughed as he played with Trunks. Naruto. Bulma called out, getting everyone's attention. You're my son. Aren't you? Naruto just nodded, with an embarrassed blush. Took you long enough to figure out. Mum, Bulma just laughed. Bulma's eyes snapped open. Wait, if you're Trunks' older brother, why aren't you born? Naruto closed his eyes in thought. Think of time like a tree, and with every tree there are branches. So I could go back in time. We beat all the androids, but that won't change my future because it was different future, or in other words, a different branch. Bulma had an impressed look on her face. Well, seems you're not all brawn like all other Saiyan boys. Naruto was about to say something but was cut off by loud music. A rather large man jumped out of a hover car with a sack of senzu beans. Hey Yajirobe, did you come to help fight the androids? Hell no. I'm only here to drop off this bag of senzus. Thanks, then, Goku said, handing the bag to Krillin. Bean Daddy out. Yajirobe yelled out as he jumped back in his hover car, flying off until he was shot down by the androids. We never have to wish him back before, Goku said with a thoughtful look on his face. Gohan, you go get him. We will go after the androids, Naruto yelled as everyone went to the city besides Gohan and Bulma. Krillin for some reason threw the senzus to Bulma. Naruto sighed, knowing it was going to be hard finding the androids without being able to sense ki. Naruto searched for 15 minutes when he felt Yamcha's ki drop dramatically. Naruto blasted through the streets, knocking cars over. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw an old man, holding Yamcha by his face with his hand thrust into his chest. Naruto flared his ki as high as he could, alerting the others. In just a few minutes the Z warriors arrived. Yamcha. The android holding Yamcha threw him to the ground. Son Goku. Naruto frowned his brows in confusion. These weren't the androids from his time. Listen, if you want a fight, you got it. But not here. Goku yelled. Why not here? The old android asked. Too many innocent people could get caught in the crossfire. Everyone tensed as he smirked. shorting pink beams from his eyes, destroying parts of the city and killing people. Stop. Naruto yelled as he struck his cheek as hard as he could, sending the android tumbling to the ground. Glaring at Naruto as he stood up. I know a place where we can fight. Follow me. Before he left, he told Krillin to take Yamcha to Bulma. Naruto then blasted off the ground with everyone not that far behind him. Piccolo raised a brow at Naruto's worried face. Naruto, what's wrong? Everything is different. Those aren't the same androids from my time. What? Naruto had his brows frowned as he tried to think. I knew me coming here would alter a few things, but not by this much. What do your androids look like? Goku asked as he flew next to his son. They both look young, about my age. They're twins, so they look identical, except the male one has black hair and the female has blonde. The Z warriors nodded, saving the information for later. They finally came to a stop in an abandoned wasteland, Naruto and Goku standing in front of their friends. The older android just smirked. It's no use, we've seen all your battles. We've studied the limits of your power. You stand no match against us. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest with a raised brow. Oh, so you know how Goku went to Namek? Yes. When they didn't answer, Naruto smirked. So you don't know about Super Saiyan is? Naruto glanced as Goku. With a nod, they both gave a yell as they both transformed into Super Saiyans. Everyone looked at Naruto, surprised that he looked slightly different. His hair looked somewhat similar to Goku's, along with a black underline under both his eyes. You know the underline for Majin Vegeta or Super Saiyan Goku Black. If you don't mind, Goku, I will be having the first battle. Goku nodded, jumping back, but he was huffing as he fell out of his Super Saiyan state. Naruto and Piccolo showed looks of concern. Naruto took it out of his mind, for now, instead focusing on his battle with the fat android. Naruto disappeared, making the android search widely until Naruto's foot connected with its back, sending it flying forward until Naruto appeared under it, slamming both his feet upwards. Naruto sent the android flying up in the air. With a burst of energy, Naruto was upon the androids and proceeded to beat the android. Android 20 or Dr. Gero was watching the fight with a calm look, but on the inside, he was nervous as he watched his creation slowly get ripped apart, piece by piece. Naruto roared as he slammed to the ground, kicking up a dust cloud. When it cleared, it showed the android glitching as it glared at Naruto. Naruto huffed as he shot a simple ki blast at the android. Both androids grinned as the pale android absorbed Naruto's ki, healing all the damage that was done and giving it a little power boost. Naruto smirked as he was immediately in front of the android, driving his knee into its chin. Dr. Gero just smirked as if nothing was wrong. Are you afraid? The Z warriors turned the attention to the creator of the androids. It's okay, you know, to feel that creeping, seizing fear. Not everyone faces their deaths openly. I'll admit, your composure is admirable, even in the face of your inevitable demise. Death's gaze squarely on you, you still keep calm, cool, and... Oh, for God's sakes, 19. Throw a fucking punch. Said android tried following its creator's demanded but received an elbow to the face. Krillin along with Yamcha flew back to watch the fight. What's going on? Piccolo smirked. Naruto's slowly destroying the android, but I'm sure he will get bored soon. Gero just laughed. Yes, well, your feeble understanding of our abilities would lead you to believe such. But 19 has yet to truly demonstrate his full killing proficiency. 19. Attack from the left. Naruto smirked, blocking the attack, then slammed his elbow on top of the android's head, sending it to the ground. Naruto gave a yell as charged at the fat android, digging his fist into its chest, sending it flying back. No, my left. As I was saying, 19 is merely lulling your comrade into a false sense of security. And once we 19 dodge. Before it could dodge, Naruto did a double fist slammed into the side of its head. Ha! Naruto yelled as he was once again beating the android. Why is dodging the sub-routine? It's not that complex. Hearing that, both Naruto and Piccolo looked at Gohan with blank looks, making the young halfling look at his mentor and brother with a confused look. What? Android 19, thinking Naruto was confused, charged at him, intending to steal his energy, but that only ended with Naruto burrowing his fist into his face, causing it to collapse in on itself. Naruto gave a blank look as he walked to the spasming android. I'm finished playing with you. I think it's time I show you my new technique, Naruto said as all of his Super Saiyan energy entered his body. Then a purple, white and yellow sword of energy came out of his right hand. I call this violent fierce God Slicer. Be proud that you get to be the first to try out my new technique. The android made a grab for Naruto, but he cut both his hands off. Naruto botted the android, forcing it onto its back. When it tried to sit up, Naruto slammed his foot on its chest, keeping it in place. Naruto looked at the android for a second, the force the blade edge through its face, killing it. Naruto's fellow Z warriors watched Naruto kill said android with looks of shock. Unknown to them, a certain Saiyan prince watched with a proud smirk. Hey, as expected from a child of mine. Naruto eyes widened. Turning, he saw Vegeta walking towards him. You know? Naruto asked as he made his energy blade disappear. Do you take me for a fool, boy? I can smell my blood in you. I can also see the similarities between you and myself, Vegeta said with a smirk, which Naruto mimicked. Vegeta turned to deal with Gero when Goku collapsed, gripping his chest. Everyone soon found out Goku wasn't taking his medication, forcing him to leave the battlefield with Yamcha. Gero used that distraction to leave, forcing the remaining Z warriors to give chase. Eventually, they found Gero hideout thanks to Krillin. Naruto placed his hand on the large metal door with brows frowned. So, how are we going to get in? Krillin asked. Naruto answered by punching the door, causing a large dent. Ah, my wrist. Piccolo smirked as he walked up to the door. Move aside. Ha! Piccolo yelled as he slammed his fist into the door, causing another dent. Ah! Now my wrist. Dr. Gero could only look with fear as they started to slowly break down his door. Why don't they blast it down? Gero asked himself, but got rid of that thought as he tended to awake the android 17 and 18. But that plan backfired. As soon as he woke them, they turned on him. Before Gero could do anything, the door behind him was blasted open. Turning, he saw Naruto with his palm pointed at him. But that was the least of his worries as Android 17 proceeded to decapitate him. When Naruto laid his eyes on the androids, he was frozen in confusion, seeing two female androids. What the hell? Naruto whispered as he studied the twins. They smirked when they saw Naruto eyeing him up and down, then walking to a pod containing another android. Naruto broke out of that confusing as he remembered his dead brother and mother. Krillin gave a weak laugh. So are they on our side? Naruto rode as he powered up, shaking the mountain. Throwing his hand to his side, his signature attack appeared at his side. Rasen Ring. Then Chuaz broke out. Rasen Ring. Naruto roared as he threw his attack as hard as he could at the female androids. Naruto quickly started to regret his actions, not sure if anyone was hurt by the blast or not. Looking around, Naruto was relieved to see everyone was unharmed, but that left as soon as he saw the androids floating, holding a large coffin-like machine. Naruto took a deep breath to calm himself. Naruto flared his Super Saiyan aura as he charged at the androids. The Z warriors looked in shock, while Vegeta smirked watching his son charge like a true Saiyan warrior. Naruto tackled 18, leaving a trench in the ground. The blonde android stared up at Naruto with a smirk as she laid her hands against Naruto's ki started to flash, and then Naruto was blown away, the ki wave sending him through a mountain until Naruto finally stopped himself with a yell. Naruto growled as he blasted back at the androids, leaving a yellow streak as he easily broke the sound barrier. Naruto cupped his hands by his side as he was charging. A black ball of ki appeared in his hands. Ka. Me. Ha. Me. Naruto disappeared. The twins looked around wildly for the Saiyan, turning when they heard a loud yell from behind. Ha. The Z warriors were quick to move, but the androids weren't as lucky. Naruto knew the attack didn't do much or anything at all. You did it. Krillin cheered. Looks like we were worried about nothing, Piccolo said with a smirk as he crossed his arms. Naruto instincts started going off, and not a second later, burst from the ground. Android 17 had a smile as she threw a punch that connected with Naruto's cheek hard. Naruto was sent skidding across the ground like a pebble across a lake. Naruto skidded to a stop, shaking his head. Naruto looked up to see 17 charging at him, then 18 started to move from behind 17. Naruto growled as both androids charged at him. Naruto held his hand out and he summoned his attack, Violent Fierce God Slicer. Naruto roared as he charged at the androids, his right arm and energy blade crossed over his chest. Raw. Naruto yelled as he swung his arm, missing 18 head by an inch. Naruto hooked his foot around 17 neck, spinning her around. Naruto released her, sending her flying. Naruto threw his hand forwards, shooting a dozen ki blasts as he gave chase. 17 grit her teeth as she was pelted with blasts, opening an eye. Her eyes then widened when she saw Naruto about to pierce her chest. With a quick movement, the energy blade managed to land a slash on her shoulder, but that's not all it did. Across the ground and up a mountain was a giant crater. Such power! Gohan exclaimed in awe. Vegeta had his arms crossed with a smirk, to see someone of his blood doing the royal family proud. Vegeta closed his eyes and thought about his other child and the Earth woman he's developed a love for. The twins fired a combined energy wave. Naruto slashed it in half, and as it exploded, it blocked everyone's view of Naruto. Before 18 could react, Naruto slammed his fist into her stomach. 18 gripped Naruto's arm while 17 grabbed the other. Naruto doubled over in pain when he felt both of their knees slam into his stomach. Naruto grunted as he was sent flying back. 18 appeared above Naruto, sledgehammering him into the ground. Naruto grunted as he rolled over onto his stomach. Slowly he pushed himself up but gave a gasp of pain as 18 kicked him in the side. Naruto! Gohan yelled. He went to blast forward but was held back by Piccolo. Gohan! If you go out there you will be killed. Gohan grit his teeth as he watched his brother get pummeled. 17 slowly touched down on the ground behind Naruto. Getting a good grip on both of his arms, she pulled them back while leaning her knee into Naruto's neck. 18 smirked seeing Naruto restrained. 18 delivered a nasty right hook. Naruto spat out a large glob of blood as he was being beaten. Naruto's eyes widened in pain as her boot was buried in kidneys. 18 reached down and held a fistful of Naruto's hair, forcing him to look her in her icy blue eyes. Now I want you to answer a question for me. Naruto grit his teeth in pain as her grip tightened on his hair. What made you think you could attack us like that, huh? Naruto didn't respond, just gave a glare. Naruto was rewarded with a left hook that caused a trickle of blood to go down the corner of his mouth. 18 pulled Naruto's head back, exposing his neck. 18 leant down, running her tongue up the side of his neck, licking up the blood trail. 18 closed her eyes, giving a moan of delight at the taste. 18 locked eyes with 17, giving a nod, but before they could react, Vegeta in his full Super Saiyan decked 17, forcing her to let go of Naruto. Vegeta yelled as he shot a ki wave at 18, forcing her to jump back. Vegeta looked down at Naruto, who was rolling his shoulders. You okay, boy? Naruto gave a nod as he stood next to his father. Naruto glanced at his father, who glanced back. Which one do you want? I'll take the one with black hair. Any objections? Vegeta asked as his aura flared to life. Hey, perfect, Naruto responded as his aura flared to life. They both charged at their respected android. Naruto yelled as he threw a fist that the android caught easily but caused her boots to skid across the ground. Naruto threw her up in the air, throwing his hands forward as he released a barrage of ki blasts. 18 blasted down, dodging or slapping away in ki blast that got in her way. Naruto grunted as he was slammed into the ground with 18 straddling his waist. Naruto froze as she placed both her hands on his cheeks, feeling his scars. I wonder where you got these. Naruto grit his teeth as he remembered the torture dealt to him by 18. Not again. Naruto whispered. What was that? 18 asked with her head tilted slightly. I won't let you touch me again. Naruto roared as his power flowed off of him in huge waves, sending 18 flying. Everyone froze when they felt his immense power. Naruto growled as large chunks of rocks jutted from the ground. Naruto threw his head back as his hair got sharper and his muscles grew slightly in size, and with a final yell and a blinding flash of light, Naruto's power was complete. Naruto looked at the two androids with a savage grin. You can call me Super Naruto. Naruto appeared in front of 17 with his fist buried in her stomach. 17 slumped over with wide eyes as she held her stomach. Naruto turned his attention to 18. 18 glared as she got into a stance, but Naruto's power outclassed her own. Naruto yelled as he threw 18 in the air, only to appear above her. Naruto gripped her face with one hand as he sent her to the ground. When 18 hit the ground, it caused a small crater. Vegeta was staring at Naruto with wide eyes. His boy surpassed his power and found a way to go a step above a Super Saiyan. This can't be. Vegeta's gloved hands balled up into fists. 17 sent a kick to the distracted Saiyan prince's head. Naruto turned his attention to 17 who had her foot on Vegeta's head. Naruto frowned as he slowly walked towards the pair. I wouldn't do that if I was you. Oh, Naruto asked as he stood 2 feet from Android 17. Unless you want his skull crushed, you will do exactly as I say. Naruto just smirked, confusing her. Vegeta yelled as he threw a hand backwards, firing a ki wave that stunned 17, allowing Vegeta to move. H-A-A-A-A-A. Naruto yelled as he shot both his hands forward, sending a large ki wave that would destroy or severely injure the android. The earth shook from the attack. Naruto fell to a knee as he fell out of his super transformation and returned to a regular Super Saiyan. Naruto huffed as he started at the dust cloud. Huff, I still have no control over that form yet. Naruto's blood run still when he saw 17 surrounded by a green dome of energy. That nearly killed me. 17 smirked as she started at possibly the most interesting male she has ever seen. 18 gently touched down a few feet behind Naruto, causing him to get parodied. Unsure of which android that was going to attack first, Naruto held his hand out as he summoned his move Violent Fierce God Slicer as he prepared an attack. 17 was quicker as she managed to wrap an arm around Naruto's throat while her other hand held his blade arm. 17 gave a smirk. That's enough of that. Naruto's eyes widened as his right arm was broken. Ah, Jigha. 18 grabbed his other arm. I'll take this one. Naruto screamed again as his left arm was broken. Naruto. Gohan yelled as he tried to help his brother but received a ball of ki that knocked him out almost instantly. Gohan. Piccolo yelled as he was by the boy's side. Piccolo roared as he charged at the android's Tien by his side, but they didn't even last more than 10 seconds before they were down. Naruto grit his teeth as he stared up at the incoming androids. Once they were in front of Naruto, they pointed their palms at him at the half Saiyan. Naruto closed his eyes waiting for the attack. Naruto heard his father yell and looked over his shoulder to see Vegeta being knocked out of his Super Saiyan state from the power of the twin ki wave. Naruto looked back at the androids to see them both looking down at him. Once we kill Son Goku, we will be back for you. I know you will make a marvelous plaything. Rai 18. 17 said with eyes filled with mad lust. You're absolutely right. 17 inches. 18 leant down and pecked Naruto on the lips, followed by 17 then. Naruto watched in defeat as they flew away. Krillin landed next to Naruto, giving the wounded warrior a senzu bean. Krillin looked at Naruto in concern as he feed everyone else a senzu. You okay, buddy? We failed to beat the androids and luckily we had no casualties, but I have a bad feeling that things are about to get much worse. Naruto soon would regret those words. At that moment, one of the worst opponents the Z warrior will ever face rose from its slumber. Walking towards a city was a creature that could be best described as horrifying. It had the 2 sections of his head shoot off in a V shape. It has orange-colored parts near its abdominal area, the back of his head, and even near his groin area. He has 2 wings which are both emerald green with black spots. It has an emerald green and lime green mix all over his exoskeleton. It has a tail that held a stinger at the end of it. It has black sections as well near its abdominal area, in the middle between the 2 sections on his head, and even the black part of opposite side of his tail. It even has azure veins in both of its arms, legs, and even some in the joints in his upper body. Its eyes are pink with thin reptilian slits. I'm coming, my sisters, and I will reach perfection. Terror truly began with the awakening of Cell. Naruto panted as he thought back to the battle against the androids. Naruto yelled as he tried to access that power that gave him an edge over the androids. Naruto heaved as his eyes started to close from exhaustion. Naruto fell face first onto the cool grass, losing consciousness. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was in a room. Lying on a rather large bed. Naruto heard a woman humming. Looking around, he spotted the back of a woman, his eyes drawn to her large backside. Naruto sat up as she turned around holding a large tray filled with food. Naruto finally got a good look at her and couldn't stop the blush that graced his cheeks. She has long white hair, light blue skin, and purple eyes. The left side of her hair is longer than the other and hangs in front of her chest. She has a golden infinity hair accessory that covers the back and both sides of her head. She wears gold earrings. She wears a red and black skin-tight bodysuit that has a versus-shaped hole around her stomach and is missing the bottom half, exposing the bottom of her. She wears a white open leg cape that is jagged at the bottom and red and black high heels. In simple words, she was absolutely gorgeous. She sat in front of Naruto, handing him the tray. Naruto gave her a grateful smile as he slowly started to eat. She continued to look at Naruto, making him blush even harder. Do you remember me? Naruto frowned his brows in thought. I do. You were in that nightmare. You showed me how to use my violent fierce god slicer. She smiled with a nod. I've always been watching Naruto. Good times and bad. Naruto looked at her confused. You have. Why? Her eyes softened as she took the tray from Naruto and hopped onto his lap, cupping his cheeks. Naruto blushed as he looked at her in surprise at the sudden move. Because you are my king. Naruto looked at her with wide eyes. As my king, it's been my job to help you any way I can. Helping you gain your Super Saiyan power or teaching you future techniques. You did this all for me. She gave another nod. Of course. From the very first moment I saw you, I fell in love. Naruto clamped up as this was the first time he was ever in such a situation like this. Never having the time before because of the androids, and soon we will be together, my love, with her piece said she crashed her lips against Naruto's own. Catching him by surprise again. When she pulled back she licked her lips, enjoying the remaining taste of Naruto. Naruto looked away with a shy blush. I still don't understand. Who are you? Running her fingers through his hair, pulling Naruto's head close to her chest. All you have to know, for now, is that I will be waiting for you, my king. Uncount to Naruto, but her hand glowed and Naruto sighed as his eyes grew heavy and he eventually fell to sleep. Tawa, you must return him before the Supreme Kai of Time knows he's gone, Tawa growled as she held Naruto closer. I despise that lowly. Sai, I'll be watching you, my king. Watching and hoping you can overcome our tests. A black portal opened beneath Naruto, causing him to sink into it. Tawa turned to a green-skinned woman who was just as beautiful as Tawa. She had her hair set into a mohawk that covered the right side of her head. She had a beautiful face and body that would have any man drooling. You just got jealous, Zamasa. Zamasa huffed. Don't get so ahead of yourself. I will be the one to see him next. Zamasa's cheeks grew an even darker green as she fantasized on how it would go. Every god must be reunited with his goddess and we will contribute our love in our own Garden of Eden. Tawa glared, but she decided to ignore her and summoned a crystal ball to watch her beloved Saiyan. Naruto sat up with a groan holding his head. Kami. Naruto rolled his neck as he flew towards his home but froze when he felt hundreds of people's ki all vanish. Naruto snapped his eyes towards what he assumed was East City. No. The androids, they're killing people. Naruto blasted off the ground, leaving a crater as he went full speed to the city. Naruto slowly floated to the ground as he looked around the seemingly abandoned city filled with nothing but clothes with a hole. Naruto turned to his left as he heard whimpering and what sounded like someone dragging something heavy. Naruto's eyes widened as he got a look at the monster Cell for the first time. Cell tilted its head as it stared at Naruto in interest. Naruto looked down to see a heavy-set man in her grasp. Please. Help me. Before Naruto could move a muscle, Cell's tail slammed into the man's back and proceeded to drink him. Naruto could on watch with wide disgusted eyes at the horrifying scene before him. Naruto gritted his teeth as the man was fully absorbed and Naruto was stuck in a staring contest with the monster. Naruto. Cell called out, sending a shiver down his spine. It confused him on how it knew his name. We finally meet. Who? What the hell are you? And how do you know me? Cell laughed at Naruto's question. I am the soon-to-be the perfect warrior in the universe and I know you from the future. Naruto clenched his fist as he aura flared around him. What do you mean? Cell just tilted its head with its eyes narrowing in amusement. Naruto frowned at not getting an answer. How do you plan on becoming this so-called perfect warrior? Cell's beak mouth seemed to curl up into a smirk. By absorbing my siblings Android 17 and 18. Naruto frowned. From what I can sense, your power is already monstrous. The mere thought of you absorbing those two and doing Kami knows what makes me shudder. Naruto gave a yell as he turned Super Saiyan. Cell started to laugh as it sensed Naruto power. Cell gave a yell as it released its own aura. That woman was right. Ah ha ha. Once I become perfect, you will give me the challenge I desire. Cell slowly walked towards Naruto. For now I will have a gander and see how strong you are. Naruto grunted as he blocked Cell's punch with his arm. Naruto kicked Cell away, Giving chase, Naruto yelled as he threw a combo of punches and kicks at Cell, which was met with punches and kicks of its own. Raw! Naruto yelled as he kicked Cell away. Naruto threw his arms forward at a fast pace as he fired dozens of ki blasts. Naruto growled when he couldn't sense Cell anymore. Naruto's eyes widened as he barely dodged the thrust of Cell's tail. Naruto grunted as Sucker punched him into a wall. Naruto looked to Cell standing in front of him, leaning on its left arm, which was next to his head. Cell leant in close, closing its eyes as it inhaled Naruto's scent. You smell absolutely mouth-watering. Naruto eyes the monster in front of him wearily as he got a better look at it, and it had female features to it. Cell eyes looked onto Naruto's own. I wonder how you taste. Naruto curved his body to the side, avoiding Cell's tail while slamming a ball of ki into its chest. Cell gave a yell as it was sent flying into a building. Naruto tensed his muscles as Cell got out of the rubble. Naruto gave a smirk as he crossed his arms. Had enough? Hey, not yet, my dear Saiyan. The fight has only just begun. Naruto frowned as he saw Cell gather energy. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw Cell prepare a family's technique. That's Piccolo's move. Naruto shouted in shock. That's right. Cell shouted with glee. It then fired the attack with two of its fingers, special beam cannon. Naruto gave a yell as the attack came at him at top speed. Naruto jumped to the side, narrowly missing the attack. Naruto looked at Cell with more caution. How do you know that move? Hee. I'm formed of the strongest warriors on this planet, including Frieza. Is that how you know me? Naruto asked. Not quite. Enough questions. Let's continue with our fight. Naruto held his hand out and his aura went into his body, only to come out in a familiar blade on his hand. It's time I get serious then. Cell grinned as it charged at Naruto. Naruto yelled as he dashed at Cell with his blade's arm crossed over his chest. Naruto yelled as he was faster and slashed Cell across the chest, but also sent it flying. Cell groaned as green blood trailed down its chest as its wound headed. He's deadly with that move. I've got to. Cell was cut out of its thoughts when she caught sight of Naruto flying down at her with his bladed hand coming down with him. Cell dodged but still wasn't quick enough as Naruto looped of its arm and caused a large slash mark to appear on the earth as soon as his blade touched the ground. Cell jumped back with a growl as it held its wounded arm. You blonde bastard. Naruto smirked as he caused his blade to fade out. Did that hurt? Cell stopped growling as it gained a smirk, confusing Naruto. Indeed it did, but I've got a great solution. Naruto watched with wide eyes as a new arm sprouted from the socket. I see Piccolo's DNA is there. Cell went to speak but was cut off by the incoming power levels of a Namekian and two humans. It seems a battle will have to be cut short for now. Naruto clenched his fist as he was surrounded by his Super Saiyan aura. You think I'm just going to let you go? Naruto. Naruto turned to see Krillin, Piccolo and Tien all staring at Cell with shock. See ya around, Naruto. Cell yelled as it took off into the air. Get back here. Naruto yelled as he gave chase. Naruto squinted his eyes as most of Cell's body was blocked by the sun. I'll be seeing you soon, but for now, solar flare. The Z warriors yelled as they were blinded and Cell managed to escape. Naruto growled as he managed to see again. Damn it. Are you okay? Krillin asked. I'm fine. Naruto gave a sigh as he fell out of his Super Saiyan form. What was that thing? Piccolo asked. Naruto stared at Piccolo in shock when he sensed the power increase. You've gotten stronger. Piccolo nodded with a smirk. Naruto saved that in his mind for later as he told them all he knows about Cell. So you're guessing this thing might be from the future and it's made from all our DNA, Naruto nodded. I can also guess that it was Gero that created it. Piccolo closed his eyes in thought. Naruto rubbed his neck. Listen, I want to get back to the house and wait for the androids. Piccolo, can you look for Cell and Krillin? Tien. You guys go destroy the Cell of this time. Piccolo nodded, liking the idea. Krillin scratched the back of his head with a frown. Alright, but where are we supposed to find it? Naruto frowned. Try Gero's lab. He might have a bunker. Naruto said his farewells as he flew back towards the sun home. Naruto rolled his neck as he landed in front of his home. Naruto walked into the house to find no sign of Chi-Chi, Goku or Yamcha. Naruto walked into his room to find a small pouch filled with senzu beans. Naruto gave a smirk as his body flexed, becoming full power once more. Naruto walked out of his home, jumping towards the roof as he sat and waited for the incoming androids. Why do I get the feeling something bad is going to happen? Cell is a problem waiting to happen, and I fear what the future holds if it gets a hold of the androids. Naruto growled as he clenched his fists tight, turning the knuckles white. I need to access that power again or get the androids to help. As much as I hate the idea. Naruto looked at the sky. I may not have been able to save my old home, but I'd rather die than lose my new home. I have too many people to protect. Naruto smiled as the faces of Bulma, Chi-Chi, Goku, Gohan, Trunks and Vegeta flashed in his mind. I failed once before to protect the people I love. It will not happen again. Naruto's eyes narrowed as a darkness-like aura flowed off his body. That's a promise of a lifetime. Naruto rolled his neck as a pink van drove to the front of his house. Naruto jumped off the roof as the androids walked towards him with another. Naruto was surprised to a giant of a man with orange hair. Naruto grit his teeth as he couldn't feel his power. Another android. How? When? Naruto's eyes widened when he remembered 18 holding the pod. He was in there. It's you again, Android 18 said with a glint in her eyes. Listen, I'm not here for a fight, Naruto growled out. That doesn't seem to be the case, 17 said with a laugh. Listen, what I'm going to tell you might seem crazy, but I'm from the future. The androids glanced at each other. A world torn apart. By you. Naruto growled, pointing at the androids. For years you killed the Earthlings. Until the day you killed my family. Naruto's eyes grew dark as he clenched his fists. Quote. Do you know how much I hated you? For killing my best friend. My brother. Naruto growled as a tear left his eyes. My own mother died in my arms because of you. Naruto wiped the tear away. But there's a bigger threat. So this could end in two ways. We work together until Cell is destroyed, or I destroy you here and now. 18 was studying Naruto's face. She saw anger and sadness being his main emotion as he brought up his past. 17 crossed her arms as she thought over on what she heard. Even though you hate us that much, you still want to help us. Cell is a bigger threat. If you can promise not to hurt anyone and help me deal with Cell, then I'll leave you be. Sorry, buddy, but that's a no, 17 said with a tilt of her head. 16 looked at 17 with a frown. 18 looked indifferent. That little story of yours was good, but this Cell is nothing compared to me. We're still going to kill Son Goku. Naruto was surrounded in a golden light as he went Super Saiyan. Seems like you androids aren't redeemable. I was a fool to think otherwise. Naruto go into a fight stance. It's time I end you. 17 shook her head with a laugh. Really tough guy. What's the difference between you a few days ago and you now? You're about to find out. Piccolo watched the beginning of the fight between the Saiyan and the androids. Kami. If what Naruto said is true, then we need to do what is good for humanity. Piccolo looked Kami in the eyes. We need to become one. Kami leant on his cane with a sigh. You're right, Piccolo. I can't let any more people die. Kami gave Piccolo a small smile. It's time. All right. Let's do this. Piccolo placed his hand on Kami's chest, and in a giant flash of light, Kami was fused with Piccolo, becoming as strong or possibly stronger than the androids. Piccolo. Piccolo turned around to see a certain Saiyan with his son. It looks like you're up. Goku scratched the back of his head with a smile. Yep. Goku's smile vanished as he gained a serious look. Where's Naruto? Currently he's fighting the androids. I'm on my way there now. Tell Naruto to come here. I know how we can become stronger. Piccolo nodded as he blasted from Kami's lookout. With Naruto, the beginning of the battle. You're about to find out. Naruto roared as he clashed with 17. Naruto yelled as he slammed his fist into 17's unprotected stomach, causing her to double over. Naruto clasped his fists together, then double slammed them into 17's cheek. 17 groaned as she skidded across the ground. 18 yelled as she charged at Naruto. Naruto held his hand out, causing a yellow key ball with black center appeared in his hand. You want some? Naruto yelled. Die. Naruto flung his black power ball, slamming into 18, sending her flying. 18 yelled in pain as she was being carried across the field. An explosion followed, fling 18 into the ground. 17 shakily stood up, whipping her mouth. 17 growled as she looked at Naruto. You weren't this strong before. 17 yelled as she tried to figure out what was happening. Naruto smirked as he slowly walked towards 17, making him look more intimidating with his Super Saiyan aura, the black underline of his eyes, his spiked up Saiyan hair, and his swishing Saiyan tail. Let me ask you, does a machine like yourself ever experience fear? 17 growled as she would never admit, but just like when Jero experimented on her and her sister. That familiar stomach twisting sensation was back. I'm the strongest being on this mud ball. I fear nothing. 17 yelled as she charged at Naruto. 17 growled as threw a barrage of punches at Naruto's face. 17 grew angrier as every punch missed. Naruto leant his head and body back as 17 went for an uppercut. Naruto then slammed both his feet into her unprotected stomach, sending her flying into the air. Naruto appeared above her, spinning, backhanding her to the ground. Naruto backflipped over the surprised 18 that was going for a sneak attack. Naruto got a firm grip on the back of 18 hair. Naruto then slammed her face first into the ground. He powered up as he dragged her through the ground until he came to a stop. Naruto leaning on her back with her pinned to the ground. What's wrong? I hope I am not making you uncomfortable. 18 groaned as she tried to get Naruto off. Please. 18 cried out. You don't get to beg. Naruto growled as his aura went into his body and came out his right hand in the blade form. I gave you the chance, but you spit in my face. It's time for you to die. Naruto grunted as he was slammed off a 18 by something heavy. Naruto looked up to see it was the last android. I'm sorry, but I can't let you destroy them. He turned and looked at the two with fondness. They have become important to me. Naruto frowned. I would rather not fight you. Naruto paused, waiting for a name. The android continued to stare Naruto down. Naruto narrowed his eyes as 17 and 18 stood by the taller android. Android 16 inches. Listen, if we can put our differences aside, for now, would be for the best, Naruto said as he powered down. That is agreeable. 17 and 18 looked at 16 with curious looks. How sweet. Naruto eyes widened as he felt a familiar evil presence. Cell. Naruto whispered. Naruto moved out of the way to avoid being impaled by Cell's tail. 17 and 18 looked at Cell with wide eyes. Why, you were telling the truth. Color me impressed. Naruto. Cell pink eyes locked onto Naruto as he went into a fighting stance. Willing to help the androids that took everything from you just to stop me. How very unsaiyan of you. TCH. Naruto growled as he tried to think of a plan. Naruto jumped in front of the androids. Leave. I'll handle Cell. 16 frowned as he scanned Cell's power. There's a high chance you will die if you fight. Naruto clenched his fists tight. Not if there's two of us. Naruto gained a look of relief when he saw Piccolo. You took your time. Piccolo just smirked as he rolled his neck. Hey, better late than never. Piccolo gained a serious look. Naruto, you have to leave. Goku is waiting for you at the lookout. Naruto gained a relieved look. So he's better now. Piccolo nodded. Naruto sighed as he was surrounded by a silver aura. All right. Stay safe, Piccolo. Naruto took off with reluctance. Naruto sighed as he finally reached the lookout to see his father, Goku and Gohan waiting for him. I'm here. Unknown to Naruto, but the next few days would be a shit show. Naruto sighed as he sat next to his new friend Android 16. Naruto closed his eyes as he thought over the past few days. Mastering his ascended form, Cell becoming perfect. Naruto sighed. Where did things go wrong? When he left to train, or when he let his father's pride blind him? 16. Is this my fault? Naruto looked up at his metal friend who helped him to overcome his hatred for the androids. Naruto, no matter what you did, Cell still would have absorbed 17 and 18 inches. Android 16 smiled as a bird landed on his shoulder. I suppose you're right. Naruto hoped tomorrow would be a better day. The next day, Naruto had an eye twitch as he listened to Krillin sing. Gohan had an amused look as he watched Roshi do some tricks. Naruto sighed as Krillin finally finished singing. Naruto wondered over to his baby brother. Hey, little man. Trunks laughed as he reached for Naruto's tail. Naruto looked over his shoulder to see Vegeta leaning against a tree. Naruto walked over to Vegeta with Trunks under his arm. Vegeta opened one eye to see his sons. Naruto placed Trunks on the ground. Trunks giggled as he stumbled towards his father, falling every now and then. When Trunks finally reached Vegeta, he was touching the Saiyan Prince's armor. Vegeta allowed a small smile to grace his lips as he placed a gloved hand on his child's head. Naruto smirked, seeing the interaction between the two. Naruto frowned as he looked up at the sky to see a giant ship slowly coming down to the earth. Naruto was immediately in front of the ship, ready to destroy the possible enemy. Gohan was next to him in a minute. "What is it, Ni-san?" Gohan asked. "I don't know, but from what I can sense, they're not that strong." Soon Vegeta landed next to him. "Let's get this over and done with." Vegeta crossed his arms as the ship opened and hundreds of soldiers started to march out. Naruto raised a brow at the low power levels. Naruto's eyes were soon on a figure that was leading the soldiers, and Naruto knew he was a Saiyan from the tail wrapped around his waist. He seemed to be in his 50s but looked as if he was in his late 30s. Black spiked hair that all Saiyans seemed to have, with one lone small spike flowing off his forehead, a lone scar covering his left eye. Wearing traditional Saiyan armor with a white cloak over his armor. The unnamed Saiyan bowed before Vegeta. "It's an honor to meet you, my lord." "Another survivor?" Vegeta asked with a raised brow. "Along with my two offspring, my lord." "On new planet." Vegeta closed his eyes in thought. Naruto held his hand out. Naruto, son of Vegeta, the Saiyan, grasped Naruto's hand tight. Paragus turned his attention from Naruto to Vegeta. "I've come here to ask you to vanquish a wicked evil and take you to your new palace." "What is this wicked evil?" Paragus gave a frown. "The legendary Super Saiyans." Vegeta froze, but he was out of his shock in an instant. "I'll deal with these so-called legendary Super Saiyan," Vegeta growled. "Thank you. All hail King Vegeta." The army repeated Paragus, and Vegeta froze for a minute as a smirk made its way onto his face. "King," Vegeta repeated as the word seemed to ring in his ears. "Never in my life have I needed something so much and never known until I received it." Naruto rolled his eyes at his father. Paragus turned his attention to the younger Saiyan. "Will you be joining us, Prince Naruto?" Naruto gave a nod with a smirk. "I wouldn't mind testing myself against these legendary Super Saiyans." Paragus gave a nod. "Not that I doubt your power, but are you sure you will be enough?" Naruto smirked as he flexed and transformed into a Super Saiyan. Paragus looked at Naruto in awe. Naruto clenched his fist. "I think'll be enough." Paragus gave a nod as he turned his attention back to Vegeta. "Are you ready to leave, my lord?" Vegeta gave a nod as he walked towards the ship. Naruto gave baby Trunks a kiss on his head and gave his mother a kiss on her cheek. Naruto was followed by Gohan along with Roshi, Oolong and Krillin. Naruto closed his eyes as he waited for the arrival of new planet Vegeta. Naruto rolled his neck with a groan as he walked out of the ship to admire the planet. Naruto took a deep breath of the fresh air. Naruto admired the giant castle on the edge of a cliff. "Amazing, isn't it?" Naruto nodded to Paragus' words. "Yeah." Naruto flew towards the castle, his excitement getting the better of him. Paragus gave a hum as he watched Naruto fly off, followed by the younger Saiyan. Naruto started to wander through the palace, but Naruto stopped when his eyes landed on a slim figure stand by a window. Naruto's eyes glassed over as when her smell hit his nose. She slowly turned around as if she knew she was being watched. Naruto was a loss for words when he saw her sweet innocent features. She has a slender frame but was still quite curved. Her eyes and hair are black, which she wears in a ponytail, tied with a white hair tie, along with a bang that covers half of her left eye. Her upper outfit consists of a red shirt exposing her midriff matching her lower outfit, a red skirt with a brown belt attached along with a silver circular buckle, and a pair of black spandex shorts underneath. She wears a pair of golden boots with red tips, along with golden bracelets on each wrist, and a pair of gold hoop earrings. Naruto didn't know when his body started moving, but soon he was in front of her, staring into her deep black eyes. She blushed as she stares up at the handsome Saiyan before her, causing her heart rate to increase and hormones flooding her system. She gave a shy smile as she got closer to him. Naruto, without thinking, cupped her cheek and pulled her close while his tail reached around and wrapped around her midriff. She leant in, loving his warmth. They both heard a cough and turned to see the others all staring at them. Naruto backed away with a blush. She looked a little disappointed. Vegeta had a knowing smirk. Paragus had an unreadable look. "I see you've met my daughter, Kale." Naruto coughed with a blush. Yes." Paragus gave a nod. turning towards the tall man beside him. This is my son, Broly. Naruto held his fist out with a smile. Nice to meet you, Broly. Broly gave a small smile as he bumped Naruto's fist. The feast will begin soon. Enjoy the castle, Paragus said with a bow to Vegeta. Broly followed without hesitant, but Kale looked like she wanted to stay with Naruto but followed after her father. Naruto looked at his own father with a confused frown. What happened between me and Kale? Hey, seems your Saiyan side is stronger than I thought. Vegeta looked at Naruto with a smirk. You imprinted on her and she accepted it. In more human terms, you gave her a marriage proposal. What? A Saiyan mates for life. From first glance, you know who that is. Naruto looked surprised to hear this. Even though the Saiyan were cruel and ruthless, were loving and protective of our mate and children. Naruto gave his father a cheeky smile. Is that how you feel for mum? Vegeta growled as he walked away. Brat. Naruto sighed as he tried to comprehend what happened. Naruto was staring at the sunset as he thought about the female Saiyan. Kale. She plagued his thoughts. His instincts were driving him wild. Screaming at him to find her and claim her. Unknown to Naruto, but Kale was feeling the same burning sensation for Naruto, perhaps even more. Kale timidly walked onto the balcony to see Naruto with his tail swishing calmly. Naruto's ear twitched. Looking over his shoulder, he saw the woman plaguing his thoughts. Naruto gave a weak smile, not sure what to do or what to say. Naruto never knew what to do with girls his age. Androids killing everyone didn't really give you enough time to look for a girl to date. Hey. Naruto cursed at himself for sounding weak. Hello. Kale tucked some of her hair behind her ear. I'm sorry about what happened earlier. Kale just smiled, making Naruto smile as well. It's fine, Prince Naruto. Just Naruto is fine. Kale, Naruto said as he stepped forward. Naruto. Kale flushed as her Saiyan hormones started flaring again. Demanding she mate with the Saiyan before her. Ni-san. Naruto snapped out of his thoughts by Gohan calling his name. The feast is ready. Yeah. Coming, Gohan. Naruto gave a sigh. We could talk more after the feast if you like. Kale said, looking at the ground. I'd like that, Kale. After the feast, Naruto couldn't find Kale and retreated to his room for the night. Naruto laid on his bed staring at the ceiling as that burning sensation came back. Naruto gave a grunt as he sat up, huffing. Why is it so hot? Naruto. Naruto groaned as a sweet scent filled his senses. Naruto found the source was coming from Kale, who looked worse for wear. Her cheeks red and flushed, her clothes barely hanging onto her form, her legs crossed over the other to try and stop the ache that was burning in her loins. Kate made her way towards Naruto, her hips swaying, causing Naruto to get hypnotized by the movements. Naruto growled like an animal as his tail thrashed wildly. Naruto made his way to Kale. She bowed her head in submission. Naruto wrapped his large arms around her small frame, his tail circling around her waist. Kale looked up at Naruto while he looked down at her. Naruto then crashed his lips down on her own. Kale moaned from the roughness. Naruto picked Kale up easily, placing her on his bed. Naruto threw off his shirt, showing his defined muscles to his mate, making the burning heat into a roaring fire for Kale. Naruto ripped of Kale's outfit as left a trail of bite marks and kisses along Kale's skin, causing the Saiyan girl to moan in pleasure. And Naruto. Naruto ran his tongue over her pink, causing the girl to arch her back in pleasure. Naruto ran his hand down her smooth stomach, reaching into her skirt and leggings to feel her hairless mound. Kale ran her hand down Naruto's chest and abs until she finally reached his jeans. Naruto groaned when Kale found his hardness and started stroking it through his jeans. Naruto got them off without trouble, showing Kale his large pulsing member. Kale gave a look of pure lust that only hyped her innocent features. Naruto growled as he pinned Kale to the bed and got rid of the rest of her clothing. Naruto rubbed his member against Kale's moist lips, causing Kale to squirm. Kale moaned in pleasure as Naruto started to slowly push his member into his mate. Kale held Naruto's shoulders in a tight grip as her eyes rolled into the back of her head. Naruto started a steady rhythm as he pumped into his mate. Kale. Naruto whispered as he was stuck staring into her eyes. Kale moaned as she started up at her Naruto's eyes, her mate. Never in her life has she felt so complete. Kale wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck, pulling him down into the crook of her neck. Naruto growled as he started to pump harder. his power flaring wildly, and without him even realizing he turned Super Saiyan, causing his thrust to become harder and faster. Kale's eyes widened as her pleasure built up. Tears built up in the corner of her eyes as she finally had released the burning heat inside her. Naruto groaned at the tightness. Naruto sat up, pulling Kale into his lap as he thrust up into her. Naruto started to thrust harder as his release was coming close. Raw! Naruto roared as he filled Kale with his seed, causing the Saiyan girl to squirt on his lap as she collapsed into his arms. Naruto fell back onto the bed. Kale smiled as she snuggled into Naruto's embrace. I love you. Naruto closed his eyes with a smile. I love you too. Naruto felt at peace. He felt complete. Nothing could ruin this. Crap baskets. Naruto growled in annoyance as he jumped out of bed, leaving the female Saiyan stealing his side of the bed for his warmth and scent. Naruto hastily put his clothes on and blasted out of a window to see Broly in a Super Saiyan state. Looking at Goku with pure hate and bloodlust. Hey Kakarot. Goku looked at Broly with a raised eyebrow as he licked the blood from the corner of his mouth. You're a bit of a weirdo. Broly just growled madly as he descended towards Goku. Enough, Broly. Naruto yelled as he got in between the two. Move. Broly growled as he powered up. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he transformed into a Super Saiyan. Calm down. Broly smirked as he started to power up more. If I don't, I'll break every bone in your goddamn body. Unknown to the three male Saiyans that were having a power match, a female demoness was seeing a certain resting female Saiyan. Taoa frowned as she stared at the sleeping Kale. It seems, I made a miscalculation with you. Taoa gripped her staff tighter. But don't worry, I'll fix that. Taoa gave an evil smirk as she pointed her staff at Kale. Dark energy seeped into Kale, making her squirm in pain. Now it's time for the real fun to begin. Paragus ran down the halls of the castle with a scowl. His plan was falling apart. Hello, Paragus. Paragus stopped in his tracks with wide eyes, looking around frantically for the voice. Where are you? The Saiyan growled. Do you wish to unlock your daughter's hidden ability like her brother? Paragus froze as those words processed. How? A simple necklace fell in front of him. Make sure your daughter wears that and use the device you use to control your son. Paragus clenched the necklace with a frown. Why are you doing this? Entertainment. Kale woke with grogginess as the effects of last night all hit at once. Kale blushed as she closed her eyes, running her hands down her arms, getting the familiar sensation of his running down her arms, causing goosebumps. Her fingers traced her lips, making her blush and smile as she remembered the sensation of his kiss that held nothing but a burning passion for her. Kale. Kale's eyes widened when she heard her father's voice. Father. Kale said quietly, looking down at the covers of the bed. I see you and the boy have bonded. Kale gave a nod. Paragus gave a fatherly smile that held malicious intent behind it. I've brought you a present. Really? Paragus gave a nod as he showed Kale the necklace. Yes. What you and the prince have is something a Saiyan finds if they're lucky. Kale looked at the beautiful black gem crystal with wide eyes. Thank you, father. Kale whispered with teary eyes. Get dressed and we'll have a celebration. Kale nodded eagerly. Unknown about the upcoming event. Naruto frowned as he rested against a tree with Gohan and Goku. I think Broly is the legendary Super Saiyan. Naruto looked at his father figure with a raised brow. Then why bring us here? Goku gave a frown as he struggled to think. I'm not sure, but something tells me something bad is going to happen. Goku then got a grin when he saw his rival. Hey Vegeta. Idiot. What are you doing on my planet? Vegeta asked, annoyed. I came looking for the legendary Super Saiyan. Goku went from cheerful to serious in a second. I think Broly is that Saiyan. I've met the scrawny Saiyan. Vegeta gave Goku a glare as he stomped toward the taller Saiyan. The likelihood of him being the legendary Super Saiyan is as likely of there being an evil you. But Vegeta. Naruto sighed as he watched the two argue. Gohan just watched amused. Dad. Naruto called out, interrupting the two. I know this seems far-fetched, but you didn't see what we did. He went Super Saiyan and his power was increasing steadily. Then why isn't he still attacking now? Vegeta asked as he stared down his son. Paragus did something to him. Something that allowed him to control Broly, Naruto explained. What about the girl? A smile lit Naruto's face as he thought of Kale. She was with me. Vegeta smirked. So I can assume you two bonded. Naruto blushed, looking away from the group. In doing so, he saw the incoming forms of Paragus and children trailing behind. Paragus. Naruto yelled, getting the others' attention. It's over. Paragus gave a dark chuckle. Indeed, it is my prince. Kakarot. Brawly growled as his ki started to rise. Brawly. Paragus yelled, trying to control his son. Kale watched with shock as her brother transformed into a Super Saiyan, Nini-san. Kakarot. Naruto watched as Paragus pointed his hand at his son. His hand wrapped in a golden band with a gem in the middle. I am your father and you will listen to me, Brawly yelled back, handing his father into his sister's arms. Kakarot. Brawly roared with all his might as he transformed. His body bulging, increasing in size at an alarming rate. Vegeta froze as the power washed over him. What is this? I can't move. Vegeta glanced over at his rival, who was just as frozen as he was. With a final scream, Brawly's power exploded, sending the group flying back, including his sister and father. Naruto sat up and froze at what he saw. Brawly was gigantic, his form covered in muscle that was damn right intimidating, his eyes completely white, but you could feel the burning hot glare he was sending the group, his hair dark green and spiked. Ahahaha. Naruto jumped up, getting into a fighting stance. Naruto focused on Paragus, who was struggling to get up with his daughter's help. Naruto blasted past Brawly, who was focused on the group of Saiyan behind him. Brawly gave a roar as he passed Naruto and started his attack. Naruto held the older Saiyan by his throat. How do we stop this? There is no stopping it. Paragus looked over at his daughter. Unless you allow me to awaken Kale's power. Naruto looked at his mate with a concerned look. Kale. Kale looked conflicted. If I can help stop Ni-san, then I'll do it. Paragus smirked as Naruto let him go. Paragus glanced at the necklace hanging around Kale's neck. The words of the mysterious figure lurking in his head. Paragus pointed his hand at his daughter and ki started to fill the gem in the middle of his palm. Kale gave Naruto a weak smile while he watched in concern. Naruto's hands balled up into fists, as an uneasy feeling started flooding his chest. Kale's necklace started to glow, then green ki started to swirl around the girl. Kale gripped her head in pain. Ah! Kale screamed as the power coursed through her. Kale! Naruto yelled as ran towards his mate. H. Naruto covered his face with his arms as strong winds struck him hard. Kale! Kale threw her head back as she grew taller, and like her brother, her muscle started to grow, but not to monstrous levels like Brawly. Kale's hair turned green, her eyes went completely white, and power was rolling off her in waves. Kale gave a yell that shook the area, getting everyone's attention, even Brawly's. When Kale was finally done transforming, Naruto looked in shock at Kale's new form. Gone was the petite Saiyan woman, and now stood a powerful practical goddess of a woman. Kale. Naruto called it as he walked towards his mate. Now, while Kale's form was intimating as hell, she was still kinda in a way. Kale. Kill him. Naruto looked at Paragus with a raised brow. Kale held her head towards her father as green ki started to gather. Now Prince, take the full power of a legendary Super Saiyan. Die. Paragus gave a scream as he was blasted away by his once peaceful daughter. Still barely alive, the man went into hiding. Naruto watched with wide eyes as Kale attacked her father without remorse. Hey babe. Kale stomped toward Naruto, making him take a step back. Kale took another step. Kale stood directly in front of Naruto, his eyes level with her massive chest. 2. Kale licked her lips, frightening and arousing Naruto. Fight. Kale. Wait. What? Kale throws a strong right hook, sending Naruto flying into a boulder. Naruto groaned as he pulled himself out to see his mate approaching him once again. Naruto yelled as he went Super Saiyan, catching Kale's incoming fist. Kale. Stop. Kale roared, sending green ki blast of energy into his chest, sending him flying. Naruto gritted his teeth as he stood up, ripping off his ruined shirt. Naruto looked at his mate to see her eyes glow red briefly and a black energy swirl around her, but it was so quick you could have missed it. Something is controlling Kale. I'll have to knock her out of it somehow. Naruto was cut out of thought when Kale gripped his face and dragged him along the ground. I hope the others are having a better time than me. With the others. Kakarot. Ah, Kami, no. Dad, help me. Ah, he's so goddamn cool. Back with Naruto. Naruto yelled as he struck Kale across the jaw, causing the Saiyan woman to take a step back. Naruto yelled as he transformed into his super form, Rag. Kale was covered by the yellow ki blast. Naruto looked in shock as Kale looked completely unfazed. Naruto. Kale gripped Naruto by his leg, slamming him into the ground repeatedly. Naruto threw his hand forward, blinding Kale, forcing her to drop the Saiyan. Naruto slammed his knee into the side of Kale's cheek. Naruto then slammed a blue ball of ki into the ground, creating a dust cloud. Naruto blasted out of the dust cloud and proceeded to shoot a mass ki barrage at Kale. I'm coming. Naruto. Naruto grit his teeth as Kale floated in front of him. Hee hee hee. Naruto froze as Brawly appeared behind him. Ah crap baskets. Omake. Hey babe. Kale stomped toward Naruto, making him take a step back. Nar. Kale took another step. Ru. Kale stood directly in front of Naruto, his eyes level with her massive chest. 2. Kale licked her lips, frightening and arousing Naruto. Wait. What? Kale throws a strong right hook, sending Naruto flying into a boulder. Naruto looked up to see Kale standing over him, removing her top and skirt. Slapping noises could be heard from the other side of the boulder. Ow, 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 ow. Naruto repeated, with Kale giving light moans. Raw. Senator. Ring. Naruto yelled during his climax while Kale had multiple green ki blasts flying off her body. Naruto yelled as he charged at Kale, throwing a nasty right hook. Naruto looked on in shock as she didn't budge an inch. Kale gave a sadistic laugh as Naruto floated back. Naruto then hunched over in pain when Kale slammed her green ki covered fist into his stomach, sending him flying into the waiting arms of Brawly. Brawly gave an evil laugh as he held Naruto's arms behind his back, nearly dislocating both his shoulder blades. Naruto's eyes snapped open wide in pain. Ah! Naruto was silenced when Kale slammed her knee into Naruto's stomach. Naruto doubled over once more, coughing up blood as he did so. Vegeta was frozen as he watched his oldest son slowly beaten to death. Why can't I move? My son. He's dying and I can't even do a thing about it. Vegeta had a stray tear fall down the side of his cheek. Is this the power of the legendary Super Saiyan? Naruto's head snapped to the right as Kale's fist slammed into his cheek. Blood fell from Naruto's lips, his vision blurred. Brawly released Naruto, allowing the half Saiyan to fall forward. Kale laughed evilly as she slammed a green ki ball into Naruto, sending him flying. Naruto slammed into a half-destroyed building, setting off the green ki blast. A green dome of energy took out the entire building. Naruto laid on the ground with his upper body bare to the world, his own blood covering Naruto head to toe. Kale touched down with a grunt. She made her way towards Naruto's downed form with a growl. Paragus followed Kale with a smirk. He laughed when he saw the half-dead form of Naruto. Kill him, Kale. Naruto got onto his hands and knees as he tried to stand. Naruto huffed as Barley managed to get on his own 2 feet. Kale. Naruto whispered. Naruto's eyes went from the menacing form of Kale to Paragus and the device on his hand. Naruto grunted as he pointed his thumb and 2 fingers at Kale, or so it would seem. You fool. You will never be able to harm Kale. Naruto gave a bloodied smirk. I'm not aiming at Kale. A golden spear-like ki beam fired past Kale, blowing a hole in Paragus' chest. Paragus' eyes rolled up into the back of his head, as he fell face first to the ground, dead. Kale groaned as she held her head, rocking back and forth. The darkness that corrupted Kale rolled off her body in dark smoke. Kale's eyes widened when she saw Naruto. Naruto. Kale had tears welling up in her eyes as she rushed towards Naruto. Kale. Naruto fell forward, caught by his mate. Kale held Naruto close as she quietly sobbed. She harmed her mate, nearly killed him. Naruto. 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 Kale roared as her power surrounded them both. Brawly watched with a mad grin as his sister powered up. Brawly floated to the ground, the earth crumbling beneath him as he stomped towards the pair. Vegeta grit his teeth as his white gloves started to tear. Damn it. Why am I so weak? Naruto, you fought them both without a hint of fear. Was it the love for your mate that gave you the strength to fight? Yet here I am frozen. Vegeta closed his eyes as his body began to tremble. I am Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans. I will not just stand here anymore. Ah! Everyone turned their attention to the roaring prince. his aura surrounding himself and the area like a wave of fire. Vegeta yelled as he Broly in a matter of seconds. Broly grunted as he was struck across the cheek, doubling over as the prince slammed his knee into his stomach, then doing a double kick sending Broly skidding back. Broly gave a growl as Vegeta did an onslaught of ki blasts. Naruto groaned as he cracked an eye open to see his father fighting Broly like a madman. Dad. Unknown to the two, but Kale was healing Naruto by transferring her energy into him and giving him a massive power boost. Kale groaned as she fell out of her legendary Super Saiyan state. Naruto sat up with a look of awe. Such power. It's incredible. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he watched his father fight Broly. Vegeta huffed as he stood on shaky legs. I will not lose you to a piece of trash like you. Broly was shaking as his gigantic form was littered with cuts and bruises, infuriating him. He was practically a god, yet this insect was hurting him. The legendary Super Saiyan. How are you this strong? Hey, I am the prince of all Saiyans, I'm superior to all. That includes you. Broly growled as his green ki swirled around him. What is a prince to a god? Vegeta threw his head back with a yell. And what is a god? To a non-believer. Vegeta roared as a pink-purple ki ball appeared on his open palm. Gallic Blazer. The light of the attack filled the area. Vegeta grit his teeth as he fell out of his Super Saiyan state. Vegeta watched as the dust cloud cleared to show Broly even more damage, but not enough to stop the monster. Broly laughed as a green ki ball filled his hand. Time to die, Prince, Broly said mockingly as he threw the giant green ki blast. Vegeta closed his eyes waiting for death. When he didn't feel the burning sensation of a ki blast, he opened his and to see Naruto standing in front of him holding the blast at bay. Naruto looked over his shoulder with a smile. Hey, not bad father, but I'll take it from here. As soon as Naruto said that, he crushed the green ki ball in his hand. Father, take Kale and get the others out of here. I'll end this. Naruto charged at Broly with his fist reared back. The legendary Super Saiyan growled as he charged forward, intending to kill him and the others. However, things changed as a faster and stronger Naruto slammed his fist into Broly's cheek, sending the giant flying. Naruto gave chase, leaving his yellow aura lingering in the air. Naruto gave a yell as he did a triple spin kick and then finishing the combo with sledgehammer, sending Broly crashing into the ground. Naruto watched as Broly struggled to stand. It's over, Broly. I've won. The only reason I'm sparing you is that you're Kale's brother. Naruto turned his back on Broly and started to fly towards the ship they arrived on. It won't end here. Like this. It will end with your death. Naruto looked over his shoulder to see a giant beam of green light heading towards him. Naruto growled as he threw his own hand forward. You fool. A blast of his own overtook Broly's and engulfed the legendary Saiyan, killing him. Naruto gave a sigh. It was finally over and now they could go home, rest and prepare themselves to finish a cell off once and for all. A few days later, Naruto was scratching the back of his head with a sigh as he watched Kale get questioned by his mother and Chi-Chi. You are so beautiful, Bulma squealed. Kale gave a shy smile. Thank you. I can't wait for the wedding, Chi-Chi said with a smile as she held Kale's hand. Naruto, could you please go check on the android? Naruto slowly walked in to see Android 16 laying on the lab table. Android 16 looked at Naruto. Hello, Naruto. Naruto frowned as he sat down. Naruto, I have learned of what happened to you in your time. Naruto's breath hitched as memories started coming back. I am sorry. Naruto looked at the ground with his hands trembling. Why? You didn't slaughter millions of people. You didn't kill my brother before my very eyes. You didn't hurt my mother enough that she died in my eyes. Naruto growled the last part out with tears in his eyes. What they did was unforgivable, but Android 17 and 18 aren't the same androids of your time. Naruto looked down at the ground. Please. If you have the power, please forgive them. Spare them when this is all over. How? Naruto asked with his voice breaking. Let it go. Naruto's eyes widened as he thought over on what 16 said. Can I really get rid of my anger and hurt? But they ruined my life. But they aren't the same androids. 16. Said android turned his attention to Naruto. I'll try. Thank you, my friend, 16 said with a smile as he started back up at the ceiling. Naruto let a smile grace his lips as he walked from the giant android. The next day, Naruto was flying to the sun home, with a big favor. Naruto gently touched down to see Chi-Chi making lunch. Chi-Chi gained a surprised smile when she saw Naruto. Oh Naruto. Are you and Kale here to join us? I'm sorry Chi-Chi, not this time. I'm just here to ask Goku a favor, Naruto said with an apologetic smile. Oh, well he's near the mountains, Naruto gave a wave as he flew off. When Naruto finally reached Goku he found him relaxing with Gohan and Krillin. Hey, Ruto. Goku said a big sun grin. Hey, Goku. Listen I need a favor. Goku blinked in surprise. Oh what's that? I need you to take me to King Kai. A few short hours later. Naruto was standing in front of the hyperbolic time chamber with Kale and a few of the others. Android 16 now fully repaired joined the group with a peaceful atmosphere as he enjoyed the peace that was the lookout. Naruto held Kale's hand with a smile. Are you ready, Kale? Naruto asked. Kale gave a nervous nod but before they could go in Mr. Popo stopped them. I'm sorry Yuta but you won't be able to enter. Naruto looked confused. Why? What's wrong? Only two can enter. Naruto still looked confused while the others slowly got it. Wait but that means. Bulma trailed off before giving a happy yell. Means what? Bulma pulled Naruto into a hug confusing him. Naruto. Kale's pregnant. Naruto froze and Kale's hand shot down to her stomach. After a small celebration, it was decided Android 16 would go in with Naruto and the two wouldn't be seen until tomorrow. The start of the Cell Games. When Naruto came out of the hyperbolic time chamber with 16 he was immediately pulled into a kiss by Kale. Naruto wearing a burnt orange GI top with bandages wrapped around his arms and hands, along with black spandex bottoms from the Saiyan armor was ready for battle. Naruto gave Kale a hug, as he knew she wouldn't be coming but wanted to show his love for her if it was the last time. Naruto wearing a burnt orange GI top with bandages wrapped around his arms and hands, along with black spandex bottoms from the Saiyan armor was ready for battle. Naruto gave Kale a hug, as he knew she wouldn't be coming but wanted to show his love for her if it was the last time. When Naruto arrived at the Cell Games arena he was greeted by the beautiful yet horrifying sight of Cell. After watching the intense fight between Goku and Cell everyone was shocked when he gave up but still had hope knowing Naruto would fight next but that was stopped when they heard Gohan would be fighting next. After Goku brought up Gohan's confidence, Gohan jumped down and gave a good fight but it wasn't enough. Naruto grit his teeth as he watched Gohan be beaten. Come on Gohan. Fight. Naruto fists started to shake. Goku can we do something now? Goku glanced at Naruto. Your son. My brother in all but blood is slowly dying. Naruto trust me. Gah. Everyone turned their attention to Gohan who was being crushed in a bear hug by Cell. Gohan. Naruto yelled. Are you proud of yourself Goku? Goku looked up at his Namekian friend. Because of your arrogance you've sentenced your only son to die. Goku froze as he looked back at his son. He may be stronger than you at his age but he's not like you. He doesn't thirst for a battle to see if he can push past his limits. Piccolo grit his teeth as he tried to restrain himself from attack his once enemy. He's just a scared 11-year-old boy and do you know what he is thinking? Why isn't my father helping me? Gohan. Goku looked down. What have I done? Cell may be stronger than me but I'm not going to let her kill him. Before the others could react Naruto was surrounded by his Super Saiyan aura, charging at Cell full speed. Leave him alone. Naruto yelled as he stepped in for Gohan and started a battle that will forever shake the world. Cell had a smirk on her beautiful face as she stared at the handsome Saiyan. So, Naruto what will you do now? The fight between the two has been splendid but she knew he had a trick up his sleeve and she had to. No needed to see it. The Saiyan cells in her body demanded it. Naruto huffed as he knew he was getting tired and couldn't keep fighting eventually. Naruto smirked as he rolled his neck. I did full year's worth of training in yesterday. It was going to be trump card just in case. Cell raised a brow at the statement. Not sure if he was telling the truth or not. I'll show you what I've been working on. You know exactly what to say to get me excited. Cell liked her lips in anticipation. Naruto it's King Kai. I know what you plan on doing Naruto sighed as he relaxed his body. You know what will happen if you do this wrong. King Kai. You've helped train me and perfect the Kaioken. I know what I'm gonna do is dangerous but if there's a slight chance I can defeat Cell, I have to try this. King Kai shook his head with a laugh. You might Vegeta's child, but you sure do fight like Goku. King Kai cut the feed. It's time, Cell. I'll end you with this move. Bring it, Naruto. Cell uncrossed her arms in perpetration. Naruto closed his eyes as his aura started to swirl around him like a maelstrom. Naruto started to yell as red bioelectricity randomly surrounded his body. Super. Kaioken. Naruto threw his head back as his aura, skin, and hair turned red. The ground beneath Naruto gave out from the raw power. The Z warriors watched in shock as Naruto's power skyrocketed. Android 16 looked at his Saiyan friend with pride. My indicators say his power level is now stronger than Cell's. Cell watched in shock, horror, and arousal. This can't be. Cellll. Naruto roared. Cell head snapped to the side as Naruto slammed his fist into the side of her cheek. Cell gave a yell of pain as Naruto gave a full assault on Cell body, throwing hundreds of kicks and punches in only seconds. Naruto yelled as his muscles burned from the assault. Cell gave a yell as she was kicked up into the air. Naruto cupped his hands by his side. Ka. Naruto roared as a giant sphere of blue light appeared in his cupped hands. Me. The Z warriors watched in awe as Naruto prepared to wipe out Cell. Ha. The entire area was illuminated by the blue light of the Kamehameha. Me. Naruto flung his hands forward, sending a giant wave of monstrous energy. Ha. Cell yelled as she caught the blast with her ki-covered hands, struggling as she held the blast at bay. Naruto roared like a great Orzuru as he traveled up his own Kamehameha wave, fist reared back as he got closer to Cell. Naruto fist slammed into Cell's unprotected chest. Cell gave a scream as Naruto seemed to pass through her body. Cell was then fully swallowed by the Kamehameha wave. Naruto watched with labored breaths as his Kamehameha traveled up into space, then exploded with such might that it shook the solar system. Naruto closed his eyes with a groan as he fell out of his transformed state. Naruto was caught by his father as they gently touched down. Naruto opened one eye to see the Z warriors running to him. You did it. Naruto caught the flying Gohan. You know it, bro. Naruto sighed as Cell was finally put down. Naruto. Or so he thought. Everyone stared in shock at the crazed Cell. How? Krillin asked in fear. Cell didn't answer. Throwing her hand forward, an invisible wave of ki hit everyone but Naruto. Naruto groaned as he tried to sit up but was stuck in place by Cell stomping her foot on his chest. You nearly killed me. If it wasn't for my intense regeneration, I would be dead. Cell laughed. That woman was right. You are my ultimate rival. What? Naruto grunted from the pressure on his chest. You're the only one who can keep making me stronger. Cell smirked as she looked at the Z warriors. After I kill the rest and destroy this planet, I will take you with me. Cell gave a sinister smirk. Then we battle for all eternity. You're insane. Naruto yelled. Perhaps, but now it's time I end these weaklings. Cell cackled as she slowly walked towards the Z warriors. Cell. Stop. Naruto groaned as his muscles spasmed. That's enough. Cell. Gohan yelled as he jumped in front of their friends. HMPH. Boy, what can you do that Naruto can't? Gohan gave a growl as he got into a fighting stance. Cell. I thought maybe there was a small chance that there might be some good to you, but it turns out I was wrong. Gohan's eyes sharpened as his aura flared all around him. This time, I will kill you. Cell shook her head with an amused laugh. Well, I guess I can have a little more fun before I destroy the planet. Gohan. Gohan looked over at his brother in all but blood. Give her hell. Naruto groaned as Android 16 helped set him up. Naruto gave a kind smile. Thanks 16. Naruto closed his eyes in thought. Do you think he can do it? Quote. Naruto closed his eyes and grimaced. I see. Naruto. Thank you for being a good friend. Naruto grit his teeth as he swallowed the lump in his throat, realizing what his friend was getting at. 16. Naruto didn't want to lose another friend. After spending that year with the android, he couldn't help but bond with him. There must be another way. I'm sorry, but this is the only way. Goodbye, my friend. Naruto watched with pained eyes as his friend went to sacrifice himself. I promise you 16, that I will make your wish come true. Gohan wiped the blood from his lip as he watched Cell slowly float towards him. Admirable effort, Gohan, but it's time we end this. Cell smirked as she pointed her hand at the young Saiyan. You won't get the chance. Cell eyes bugged as she was pulled into a tight bear hug by 16. What? My Kami. He got her, Piccolo whispered. We have to help. Goku yelled as stood up. No, stay back please, 16 warned. I will kill her by self-destructing. I have a powerful explosive embedded deep in my body. It was intended as a last resort. I am sorry we androids have caused so much suffering on the Earth. 16 looked Naruto in the eyes as he said the last part. Cell, no matter how strong you have become, you will not survive this. You destroy life. You are a parasite to this planet. And I see now this is the best way to destroy you. Cell started to Sake in anger. Dr. Gero's sick ambition to terrorize the world through us will ultimately be put to rest by his own devices. 16 and Cell began to yell as the giant android glowed yellow. Naruto, please learn to forgive the sins of my kind. Everyone watched with labored breaths waiting for the explosion. It never came, and that's when the true chaos began. Naruto watched with wide eyes as Gohan took out all the Cell Jr., showing no mercy as he worked his way up to Cell. Such strength and brutality were different from the sweet boy they used to know, but it took a turn for the worse. Gohan landed a devastating stomach punch, forcing Cell to throw up Android 18. Cell then started to blow up like a balloon. That's when everyone found out Cell was going to blow up and take out the Earth with her. Goku managing to instant transmission her somewhere else and leave before she blew up, relaxing everyone, but that was their mistake. Naruto's eyes widened when he felt her energy. She was back and she was preparing an attack. Naruto saw a tiny pink speck growing and without thinking shoved his father out the way, taking the beam to the chest, killing Naruto instantly. Cell looked on in pity but had time to brood some other time as she got ready to finish the Z warriors. Vegeta fell to his knees, couldn't looking at the corpse that was his son. Vegeta placed a shaking hand on his Naruto's chest. A single tear slid down his cheek as memories of all the time he spent with his oldest. Flashbacks. Vegeta was throwing a barrage of punches in the air, as he was getting used to the gravity in the time chamber. Vegeta, sensing something was coming towards him, turned around quickly and caught a water bottle thrown at him by Naruto. You up for a round, old timer? Vegeta gave a smirk as he drowned the water, crushing the bottle. He got into a fighting stance. Bring it, brat. Naruto gave a yell as he charged at his father. Vegeta mimicked Naruto as the two got into an intense sparring match. Vegeta was staring at the sky with a thoughtful frown on his face, thinking back on his fight with Cell and his humiliating defeat. Vegeta, sensing energy, turned to see his son walking towards him. What do you want, brat? Naruto gave an embarrassed look as he scratched the back of his head, his Saiyan tail swishing lazily. Father, I was hoping you could teach me the Gaelic gun. Vegeta's eyes widened as he turned and looked at his son, a ghost of a smile. That move was my father's. He taught it to me when he acknowledged my power. Now come. I don't have all day to teach you. Naruto gained a big smile as he chased after his father. Vegeta, wearing his signature pink shirt much to his embarrassment, was eating with his family. Vegeta looked at Bulma first. At first, he didn't think much of the woman, but now Vegeta was sure that she was someone who held a special place in his heart. Vegeta looked at his youngest with a smirk. Even as a baby, Vegeta knew there was so much potential in that small child and he couldn't wait to awaken it. And finally Vegeta turned his attention to his oldest. Vegeta couldn't be more proud of his boy, his heir. Vegeta saw a fine warrior who will continue to do him proud. Vegeta closed his eyes as he continued to eat his meal, enjoying the moment with his family. Flashbacks end. Where am I? Slowly Naruto opened his blue eyes to see he was on a field. Looking around, he saw his mother's home, the Capsule Cooperation Building. Walking, he heard laughter going on behind the building. Tears started build in his eyes when he saw Gohan, but not the younger version he has gotten used to. No, it was the Gohan of his time. He looked happy, truly happy. Then he saw his mother. She was just as beautiful as he remembered. She had a beautiful dress on as she was handing out plates. Next was Trunks, his baby brother. Trunks was laughing as he tried to get out of Gohan's headlock. Gohan looked up and gave a kind smile when he saw Naruto standing there shaking. The others turned their head and saw the trembling half Saiyan. Naruto grit his teeth as tears started freely fall. Bulma, seeing her son was distressed, walked up to him. Naruto broke down as he pulled her into a tight hug. Naruto started to shiver and shake. Bulma smiled lovingly as she stroked his hair the same way she used to when he was distressed. Trunks joined in on the hug, making Naruto sob harder. I've missed you all so much. Naruto managed to get out as he held them tighter. Kale was outside the sun home with her hands clasped together. Kale's eyes widened, her hand gripping her where her heart would be as she fell to her knees. Kale cried as she felt Naruto's energy disappear. Kale held her head as she rocked back and forth. No, 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 Kale whispered as tears stung her eyes. No, Kale screamed as she threw her head back. Green energy started to swirl around her like a burning inferno. Naruto. Kale cried out as hot tears streamed down her cheeks. The love of her life was dead, she felt it in her heart. This can't be happening. Chi-Chi ran outside to see Kale on her knees. Chi-Chi held the poor girl as she cried into her shoulder. Cell watched in shock as the prince walked towards her, the ground breaking underneath him from pure power. Bioelectricity shot off Vegeta as his sea foam eyes looked onto Cell. I'm going to pummel you until there's nothing left. Cell started to laugh. Do you really believe that, Prince? Vegeta's eyebrow twitched, and next thing Cell knew, she was hunched over gasping in pain as Vegeta once again slammed his fist into Cell's stomach. Vegeta roared as he delivered an uppercut, sending Cell flying. Vegeta appeared above Cell, startling her. Vegeta gave a savage roar as he started to aggressively pummel her while they were falling back down to the earth. Vegeta roar shook the area as he gave one last strike to Cell's chest, nearly going right through her. Cell coughed up blood as the power from Vegeta punch formed a crater around the two. Cell growled as she blasted away from the Saiyan prince. How are you this strong? You killed my son. Such an act will not be forgiven. I'm going to kill you, down to the very last cell. Vegeta yelled as his power exploded outwards. Vegeta started to do a fury of combos as he released all his anger and hate on the perfect being. I don't understand. How am I seeing you all? Bulma smiled as she leads him to the table. King Yema saw your heart's desire when you died. You wanted to be with us. Naruto still looked confused. But that makes no sense, this is a different timeline. You guys. Naruto cut himself off as it hit him. You're not really here. Bulma looked sad as she gave a nod. We are based off your memories and your desires. Naruto gave a pained sigh. So I won't be able to see them again. Naruto clenched his fist. Gohan placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. We are almost exactly like your old family. You can stay here. Enjoy this peace. Naruto looked him in the eyes. Turning around, he walked away from his friend. You have no idea how much I want to. But I have everyone on Earth who needs me. A wife and a child on the way. Naruto gave a weak smile as he looked over his shoulder. You guys will constantly be in my thoughts and in my heart, but I have to go. I love you all. With his peace said, Naruto blasted away off to King Yema. Naruto growled as he stared back up at the giant red man. Listen to me. The world we know, it could end. Now send me back to Earth. Yema sighed. Listen, kid, I wanna help, but rules are. King Yema was interrupted by Naruto's enraged shout as he went Super Saiyan. Listen to me, you old fool. You will show me a way down or I will wipe you from this world. King Yema looked in fear. Okay, but you must come back. Do you understand? Naruto nodded yes. King Yema turned to one of his assistants. Get Baba. Vegeta grit his teeth as his Gallic gun struggled to overpower Cell's Kamehameha. This is the end of Earth. Once I destroy this planet, I'll find Namek and wish Naruto back. We will battle for all eternity. Ha! Vegeta roared as his attack slowly pushed Cell's back, but she saw what he was doing and put more power into her own, causing the attack to push Vegeta's own. Damn it. It's no use. I'm running out of energy. Father. Vegeta's eyes snapped open as he looked to his right to see his son, but a golden halo over his head. Naruto. Naruto just gave a smirk. Listen, there isn't much time. I broke out of other world to help finish her off. Vegeta looked back at Cell, who was laughing like a mad woman. Then let's end this, son. Together. Naruto powered up as he got into position. Gallic gun. Fire. Naruto roared as a giant purple beam mixed with his father's, combing their strength and pushing Cell's Kamehameha back drastically. What? No. This can't be. See you in hell. Naruto roared as the father-son Gallic gun overtook the tyrant, destroying her to the very last cell. It was over. It was finally over. Naruto gave grunt as the blinding light left his vision and he was then tackled by his mate, Naruto. Kale screamed as she tackled Naruto into a hug. Hey, babe, Naruto whispered as he rocked her back and forth as she cried into his arms. Never leave me again. Please, Naruto gave a smile as he rubbed her back. I promise, a promise of a lifetime, Naruto said as everyone looked on with fond smiles, seeing the couple reunited. Now let's fix this mess, Naruto said with a smile. The gang was stuck thinking what their second wish should be when Naruto spotted 18 by herself with a sad look on her face. Naruto smiled as he thought of his android friend. So Naruto wished for Android 17 to be brought back to life, surprising everyone, but Naruto said it was for a friend, and with that Naruto was back home with his mate sleeping in his arms. Naruto sighed as closed his eyes and wasn't ready for the surprise he would wake up to. Naruto looked around in confusion. He was in a beautiful bedroom. He felt like he was here before. Naruto tensed when he felt a pair of hands run up his stomach and chest. It's time, my love, Tawa whispered seductively into Naruto's ear, sending shivers down his spine. Wah! Naruto was cut off as Tawa slammed her lips into his own. Naruto fell on the bed with his hands resting on her hips. Naruto knew this was wrong. He had Kale waiting for him, but he couldn't help it. His instincts were driving him mad. Naruto growled as he flipped their position with him on top and with Tawa on her back. I'm going to break you. Please do. Tawa groaned as Naruto ran his tongue down her neck, her collarbone and straight down to her large chest. Naruto was fondling and biting the blue orbs. Tawa groaned as her thighs rubbed together to lessen the heat that was flowing from her core. Tawa got even more excited at the sight of the bite marks that were left on her otherwise perfect flesh. Naruto continued his onslaught, but he going down in agonizing pace for Tawa. Naruto gave a brief kiss to her pelvis before he started licking her core like he was a man dying of thirst. Oh, yes. Tawa moaned as her hands ran through his hair. Naruto bit her lightly, casing the demoness hips to jerk in pleasure. Naruto ran his hand up and down her canal. Tawa's eyes rolled into the back of her head as she took a quick breath as she had her first release of the night. Naruto climbed up until he was face to face with her. Are you ready for more? Tawa lovingly cupped his cheeks. You're just making me love you more and more. Tawa brought Naruto down into another intense kiss full of passion. Naruto slowly pushed his manhood into Tawa, making the woman freeze. Tawa gave a groan as he met her barrier. Naruto looked at her with a raised brow. You're. Tawa gave a nod. Naruto smiled as he kissed once more. Tawa clung to him as he thrust forward, tearing the berry that once marked her as a virgin. Naruto started to gentle thrust, one might do to a wife or someone you loved. Tawa had tears of happiness as she made love to the man she'd been after for so long. Ah, Naruto, I love you. Tawa moaned as she looked him in the eyes. Tell me you love me. Naruto has never seen such longing and love before. It was actually kind of comforting, but did he really love this woman back? I guess in a way he did, but she wasn't real, was she? I love you. Tawa gave the most breathtaking smile as she brought him into another kiss as she came close to her release. Naruto. She moaned out his name as she had the most pleasurable experience of her life. We're not done yet, Naruto whispered as he kissed her jaw. Tawa gave a smile as she flipped their position. Naruto sat with Kale watching the sunset, wondering what the future has in store for his family and himself. Are you okay? Naruto looked down at his wife with a smile. Perfect, Naruto whispered as he brought her into a deep kiss. Giving all his love to her. So, what shall we name him? Kale asked with her hand on her stomach. Hey Naruto, Chi-Chi is making cabbage stew. Do you want some? Naruto raised a brow, then a smile graced his lips. Cabbage. Huh? Naruto looked back up at the sunset with a smile. Wah! A baby cried as he fiddled in his crib. Shish, don't worry Mira, you'll see daddy soon, Tawa cued to the baby. Tawa looked up with a sinister smile. Very soon. It's been an amazing peaceful 7 years for the Saiyan half-breed, Naruto briefs. Currently, he was spending time with one of his sons. Is that the best you have, son? Naruto asked with a laugh as he looked down at his panting son. Huff, I'm Huff, not done yet. Naruto just shook his head. I'm sorry to say, but unless you got some secret technique hidden. Naruto crossed his arms with a smile. You won't be able to land a hit on me, Indra. Indra lifted his head, showing off his features to his father. Indra had long black hair he got from his father and his mother. His hair was short on top. Two locks wrapped in bandages framed either side of his face. His eyebrows were cut short along with dark blue eyes he gained from his mother. Adding to his look, he had his hair back in a long cylinder and with blue markings around his eyes, which were turned up at the corners. Dressed in the finest clothes since he accepted his Saiyan and royal heritage, but instead of armor, he wore a high-collared, light-colored kimono held closed by a dark sash. Indra took a deep breath as he closed his eyes. The ground started to shake as he was surrounded by a dark purple aura. Indra started to yell as his aura turned into lightning. Indra held one hand in front of himself as if he was holding something while his other hand was as if he was pulling something back. Naruto narrowed his eyes as Indra's attack started to look like a bow and arrow. While this attack may be incomplete, the power will shake the very earth itself. Indra roared as he released his attack that tore apart the very earth itself. Naruto's eyes widened as the attack neared him, but just before it hit, he smirked, and thus the attack succeeded in turning their former training ground into a crater. Indra fell to his knees as sweat fell down the side of his brow. How was that, father? Indra's eyes rolled back as he fell face first into the ground. The dust cleared, showing Naruto completely unharmed, surrounded by a blackish-purple barrier. Not bad, son. Not bad. Naruto turned his head to glance at two figures flying in the sky. So what do you think? 16. Lapis. 16 looked the same as he was before he was destroyed. However, power-wise, he was much stronger. Lapis, or Android 17 to those who weren't her husband, was relatively the same besides the wardrobe change and the dramatic increase in strength. Her orange scarf remained, but she had a long-sleeved dark blue shirt that was ripped at the shoulders with brown and gold suspenders under her arms, blue jeans and boots. I must say our son is quite the powerhouse, Lapis said as she floated to her husband's side. Now you're wondering how did Naruto and Lapis get together? Well, it all happened a week after the Cell games ended. Flashback. Android 17 was stuck staring at the destroyed Cell games arena. However, something, or rather someone, caught her attention. It was the Saiyan Naruto. What's he doing here? Muttering to herself as she narrowed her eyes. Naruto was hovering above the ground with a concentrated look on his face as if he was searching for something. Hey, Saiyan. Naruto turned to see it was the very same android he wished back not even a week ago. Oh, so you're here. Naruto said with a sigh as the female android landed in front of him. Why did you do it? 17 asked as stomped towards him. Do what? 17 growled. She gripped him by the front of his shirt. Bring me back. 17 sighed as she let go of his shirt. Why did you bring me back? Because I promised a friend, Naruto said as he walked past her. Who? Naruto gained a small smile. 16. I got to know 16 for over a year and we became good friends. Naruto gained a fond smile. Just before he died, he asked me to do something and I promised I would. What was the promise? 17 asked curiously. I would try to forgive you and your sister for what you did in my time. 17 looked at Naruto in shock. Do you know how hard that was? You guys took everything from me. I hated you so much. It's haunted me every day for years. 17 just looked down in guilt. But 16 was a good person and I thought the best way to honor him for what he did for the earth would be to bring you back. 17 looked at him with wonder. Even after what my sister and I did in your timeline, you're willing to forgive us, why? Naruto gave a sigh. Because it's easy to hate but it's hard to forgive and move on. I want to move on and look forward to the future with my wife and my unborn child. Naruto held his hand out to her, surprising her. So let's start over. I'm Naruto briefs. 17 allowed a smile to grace her beautiful features as she took his hand. Lapis. Flashback end. Naruto smiled as he picked up his son in a bridle. Come on, let's take him home. Naruto smiled as he thought of his other wives and son. I wonder what they're up to. At Capsule Corp, Vegeta had a small smile that was barely noticeable as he watched his grandson Kaba train intensely. Kaba is fair-skinned and of short stature and has a very slim build. Kaba's hair is black and spiky, something he got from both his father and grandfather, with one bang hanging over his forehead, similar to his mother's. His eyes are narrow with large black pupils. What are you doing? Kaba gave a happy smile when he saw his grandfather. I'm training. I'm having a sparring match with Father and Indra. I want to surprise them and show how much stronger I really have become. Kaba went back to throwing punches and kicks in the air. Vegeta just shook his head but at the same time couldn't help but watch in pride. Just like their father, they've accepted their Saiyan heritage. Naruto while young would be a good king one day. When Vegeta eventually died, Indra took being a Saiyan price to heart and filled that role with honor and pride, and Kaba while not as interested in being royal like the rest of his blood preferred to be a high-class warrior and doing his family proud, which was good enough for his father and grandfather. Something that surprised Vegeta about his grandson was the fact he preferred the old armor of the Saiyan race. His outfit has yellow straps, silver plating, a purple underpiece, and a blue suit underneath with brown armbands, a brown belt, and purple shoes with gray soles. Vegeta walked towards his grandson, getting ready to help him with his upcoming battle. Rocky Mountains. Kale gave a vicious roar as she sparred with her brother Broly. Now some of you might be thinking, how is that possible? Broly is supposed to be dead. Well, it just so happens, Naruto knew Kale missed her brother, so gathering the Dragon Balls he brought the legendary Super Saiyan back. Kale gave a yell as she transformed into a Super Saiyan, her hair flashing green, bulking up slightly in muscle. So sister, why is this sudden interest to train with me? Broly asked as he transformed into a Super Saiyan of his own. Naruto has become so strong it's scary. I want to be by his side and show him in any situation, I can be by his strength when he needs me. Broly smiled seeing the confidence in his twin. Well then let's prove how strong you have become then dear sister, Kale roared as she fired green ki blast after ki blast. Broly laughed as he dodged the attacks from his sister while throwing in some of his own. A few hours later, Kale was huffing as she sat on the ground covered in cuts and bruises. Broly was no better as he wiped the blood from his busted lip. Not bad little sister, not bad. Broly raised a brow when he didn't hear a reply. Lifting his head he saw his sister huffing aggressively. Broly sniffed the air and then his eyes widened. Oh no. Kale roared as she started to bulk up. Naruto. Kale was in heat. Broly was worried for the half Saiyan but at the same time found this insanely amusing. Naruto rolled his neck as he jumped up and down. Closing his eyes, he felt his ki circle around him as he felt for a power-deep instant. Naruto. Naruto froze as he heard his name being roared from his wife. Turning he saw her hulking form. Hey baby. Naruto gulped as his wife stomped towards him in her legendary Saiyan form. Kale smash Naruto. Naruto was once again aroused and slightly scared as his wife ripped off her clothes. What? Just like that Naruto was tackled by his wife and for several hours, any near that area could hear the sounds of flesh slapping flesh, with the occasional, ow, coming from Naruto. 18 raised a brow, looking up from her magazine as her husband limped into their home with a sleeping Kale over his shoulder. What happened to you? Naruto didn't answer he just gave a grunt as he leaned down and kissed the side of her head before taking Kale and collapsing onto his bed with Kale snuggling into his side. 18 just sighed as she got up and laid down with her husband. Running a finger along his scared cheek as she thought back to how they slowly but surely got together. Flashback. 18 sighed as she flew towards her sister island. 18 knew her sister's dream was to protect animals and care for the creatures. So imagine her surprise when she found out she was being funded by Capsule Corp just to do her dream. 18 grew worried at the sound of combat. Picking up her speed she arrived at the sight of her sister fighting a certain Saiyan. Naruto had a light smile as he blocked a punch from Android 17, who in turn dodged a kick aiming for her head. 17 surged forward as she tackled the Saiyan to the ground, straddling his waist as she does so. 17 smirked as she had his wrists pinned to the ground. She started edging her head forward, her lips nearly touching his own when they were interrupted by the sound of someone clearing their throat. Looking up they both saw 18 staring at them both with a raised brow. 17 gave her sister a wave with a lazy smile. Hey. Naruto was staring at the fire with 18 while 17 left to deal with some poachers. Naruto turned his head to see 18 staring at him. So, you and my sister. Naruto gave a nervous laugh. Yeah. How did it happen? 18 asked as she inched closer to the Saiyan. I guess after spending a lot of time together, we became friends and eventually more. 18 frowned as she stared back at the fire. What about your wife, Kale? Naruto gave a nervous laugh. At first it was a bit of a mess, but my father explained my Saiyan culture and I found out it wasn't uncommon for Saiyans of the royal family to have more than one mate. 18 humped. I never did thank you for saving me from Cell, did I? Naruto gave a smile. You don't have to. Naruto was interrupted by 18 placed a gentle kiss on his lips. Thank you. Naruto smiled, scratching the back of his head. No problem. Flashback end. 18 Lapis can't remember if she has ever been as happy as she has been for the last 7 years. She wouldn't trade it for anything, but little did she know, her perfect world was going to be flipped upside down.